June 2021 tarehe 3 mwezi wa 6 mwaka 2021. Natumai kwamba uko salama, umeamka vizuri. Kama unakimbia ofisini, natumai kwamba tayari ushafika ofisini. Kama unaenda jua kali, utafuta riziki ya siku, natumai kwamba ushafika vibandani pale ili uweze kuanza kazi. Hii ni Tackle Diaspora Edition. Diaspora Edition, kama kawaida huwa tunazungumza na Wakenya ambao wako ughaibuni, uweze kujua ni hali ikoje pale, na pia how well do they want to participate in the issues of this country, so we can all have a conversation together. Lakini pia kama kawaida tuko na mtu studio, tuko leo tuko na Solomon KURIA. Johalend ni kama alienda alibaki Kisumu na kumaliza Madaraka, lakini Solomon KURIA amefika mapema. Kwa hivyo tuko na Solomon KURIA kwenye studio. Alafu pia pale kwenye upande mwingine wa studio wa Diaspora tuko pia na majamaa wengine hapo. Niko na ARAMA ambaye ni chairman, tayari ashaingia. Niko na MASI, MASI. Niko na jamaa hapa anaitwa na kuna jamaa mpotea alikuwa hapa, sijui ameingia wapi. Alikuwa anaitwa Guruguru. Haya, pia tuko na ANWAR SADDAT ambaye tunangoja aweze kujumuika na sisi ili tuanze kuanza mazungumzo pamoja. Kama kawaida, kabla hujaanza kazi, naomba kwamba when you join in, please like. And you get to know that you're watching us, and that like, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. This is Tackle, and Tackle begins now. But before we start, tuende za Mungu tuombe. Alafu kirudi, salamu zenu tunawapa. Mighty Father, we come before you this morning. We worship you, glorify your name. Thank you for another opportunity to be alive this morning. Thank you for the week that has been. We thank you for everything you've given our hands to do. As we go out there to work, we pray that you may be able to bless the work of our hands. Even the tacklers who are joining us this morning, you meet them at their point of individual needs. Even the panel that we have a conversation this morning may be able to edify the fabric of this nation. In Jesus' mighty name I pray and believe. Amen and amen. Haya, asante sana. Ana kuna nchi wameamka tayari. Let me see, tuko na nani ambao wameanza kuamka tayari mapema hii. Okay. Tuangalie kidogo. Tafadhali when you join in, like, share and let us know where you're watching us from. Niambie unatazama kutoka wapi. Ana kuna majamaa wameamka tayari hapa. Okay. Ngaja load up. Sijui kwa nini watu wanampotea. Okay. Let's see. Haya, Anita Chesira na kuona Emmanuel Serema. Good morning bro. Good morning to my brother Lil Koima. Good morning GB and team. Good morning to you bro. Emmanuel Serema, Isaac Serem, Chepta Kibiri Red, so ameamushwa. Asante sana. James Mutinda. Good morning. Vito watching from Sentikumi Likoni Mombasa. Asante sana to Mombasa. Kusimba de Sam. Good morning. Munga Lito continue morning team Tackle, tuning in from Covent United Kingdom. Good to be part of this morning Diaspora edition. Thank you. Asante sana ndugu yangu. Johnson good morning watching from Litain. Thank you Kimtai. Abraham asante, karibu sana Maverick. A very good morning from the CBD. Asante John Dikiwa 9 morning. Good morning everyone. Asante Kipchirchir Peter. 2021 to 12. What's that? Anyway, Evan Sarab Serone, good morning GB from Nakuru. Asante Sagonki Black, good morning watching from Slovakia. Asante sana to Slovakia. Mosat Kebanenji, good morning Wadau. Good morning Anita Chesire. Good morning GB tuned in from Nairobi. Umefika. Ala. Anita Chesire sema leo umeua luku jero. Asante sana. Eke sama Kimaliel Baba, good morning GB watching from Karen. Leo Kreto. Leo Kreto. Bado. Uko mbali sana bana Kimaliel. Boni Baba Tommy, good morning Rais tuned in from Kangemi. Asante sana Mlanyasi. Boni Baba Tony na kuona Kakifade. Good morning Bito. Good morning to you Kakifade all there from Thika. Zakari Zaki, good morning Tackle watching from London UK. Asante wa United Kingdom, it's good to see you. Moses Kama, good morning GBC. Watu wa kutembea Mwebe ni watu wa Diaspora ama Diaspora banasalimia watu hapo na nyumbani. Mwangi Simeon Gasman, good morning Bito tuned in from Deya Mboroti. Asante sana tu Andeya. Floyd Songa ndakuwa hapo kesho Ijumaa pale watu Andeya na kwa area yenu kesho. Floiza anaitwa Floiza nani? Floyd Songa, good morning to Dan Ruta. Good morning to my brother Kim Kirwa. Moise Bridge Kondani. Asante Kibra Arab Kogo LD Chapchiri Kondani. Abid Kipkosgei, good morning. Abid Kipkosgei, I think from Ziwa. Asante sana Abid, good to see you. Jamie Mary, good morning Bito. Good morning to you. Jafat Kimtai KE Kitale is locked too. Asante Isaka BKN. Good morning Kipkogei Tarus, good morning from Kelbui Kapchorwa. Asante sana toka Kapchorwa. Limetoka Kapchorwa, nilikuwa huko miaka ingine ya kitambo. Haya, Jimmy Mary, good morning Bito. Good morning to you. Kimtai na kuona hasema from Kelbui Kapchorwa na Kipkogei Tarus. Haya, Emmanuel Koech, good morning team Tackle. Good morning to you my brothers, good to see you. Hope you doing well. Nataka kutakia siku njema zaidi. Good to see you bro. Asubuhi sana. When you join in, please like, share and let us know where you watching us from. Tafadhali piga like alafu share, alafu niambie unatazama kutoka wapi. Haya, niko na mgeni hapa, alafu kuna watu wangu wa studio, ile studio nyingine ya Diaspora kiongeza na ARAMA. Kama pia kwa Diaspora you can join in via link. Wacha niweke link hapo haraka upesi. Wacha niweke link hapo niweze kujoin pamoja tuzungumze. If you're in diaspora, tafadhali unaweza chukua hiyo link ambayo nimeiweka pale kwenye comment section. If you're in diaspora, please you can join in via the link that I've pasted on the comment section. Kama uko diaspora, tafadhali tumia hiyo link ili tuweze kuzungumza pamoja. Use that link alafu uweze kujoin tupige story pamoja. Iko pale Google Meet link, please join in and we can have a conversation. Joel Solomon Kuria. Madaraka.
Madaraka. Madaraka ilikuwa tamu. Kisumu. Kisumu was good. The country is united. Bila shaka kutoka uliona. Kila mtu pale alikaribishwa kwa bashasha na wale wananchi wa Kisumu, and especially the people of Kondele. They showed that actually if we decide, if all of us decide, this country can be united. The whole country was in Kisumu. Opposition, government, government opposition, there's a group that is government and opposition at the same time. Everybody was there. And we celebrated Madaraka Day, and we are back to Nairobi now. Tuchape kazi. Na tunasema hii kitu, actually we should never celebrate Madaraka Day or any other national holiday. Formally like we used to do it in Nairobi, Nyayo Stadium all the time. It is a time that these holidays are taken to wananchi. I would like to see Jamhuri maybe in a different county. I was told it's going to Kirinyaga. And we are also going to show the country that also we are celebrating and we are happy that it's coming to Kirinyaga. Next time, take it to another place.
So why have you not taken it to Northeastern, or Northeastern is not in Kenya?
No, they will go. They will go. I would like also to see how they will do it in Garissa or maybe Mandera.
Or Wajir.
These things.
Which procedure are they using to decide where it's going? And where it's not?
I am not sure, but since it started, they have gone to a number of counties. They have gone to Kisii, gone to Nyeri, Kisumu, So let them now take it out there so that people can feel they are part of
serikali kuja kwenye ground.
Serikali inaenda ground, and there is so much involved. Leave alone what the government is spending on that event. But talk about the number of guests. Kisumu was full. You could not get a hotel room. Some guys were even staying in their cars, but eventually they would spend the money they have in that county. So the economy of Kisumu realized a boom of not only over the holiday, that is on Tuesday, but some people traveled all the way from Wednesday. People started trickling into Kisumu town from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, spent the weekend there. Because the president was there from Sunday to Tuesday. So some guys went ahead of him, others went with him, and actually it was a good thing. I am happy to be a Kenyan and to have seen that happening. Because initially, I remember, because I was campaigning for the president in 2017, we did not step in Kisumu. We were not welcome. Actually, if we were sitting there with Jubilee colors, my friend, tungemalizwa. But now, if you go there today, you sit down, you enjoy your chicken, you enjoy your fish, and these guys call you Okuyu amekuja, karibu. You sit down and talk. It's now, a harmonized country. And we would like this spirit to continue every other part. Kenyans have the freedom to live anywhere they want. And we should actually tolerate each other politically.
Okay.
And we should not have the political temperatures going overboard, where people can even attack each other, and especially the young people can be used by the politicians to cause violence. But now I'm happy.
Now, these politicians.
These are the fruits of the handshake. Handshake imeenda, imeleta amani, na kila mtu was welcome in Kisumu, as you saw it.
Okay.
Yes.
The last time you told us that the president is going to use the standard the train all the way from Nakuru to, was it Nakuru or Nairobi to Kisumu?
Yes.
What happened?
I think there was some technicalities. There were some completions that were not done up to that time. But I can confirm to you that it is complete. And you heard him say that this December, people will pay around 200 shillings to commute
from
Nairobi to Kisumu.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay.
Watu waingie kwa bogi wateremke hadi Kisumu. So it's a reality, and it is connecting now it's not heading there, it's connecting now to Kisumu port. And now once the cargo is taken to Kisumu port, we take oil to Uganda, and you had the president of Djibouti confirm that he's going to use the port. So it is an interlinked infrastructure, the railway and the Kisumu port. So it will not.
So you, Solomon KURIA, you're happy about Madaraka? You feel the country has made enough tries? It's right.
I feel so.
Okay.
I feel so. Right. Even though we have challenges of COVID and other issues, we are happy to be alive. And that's the bare minimum. We are happy to be alive. That is the bare minimum. Number two, we are happy to see our country progressing. We have seen infrastructure everywhere in this country. Actually, Kenya is under construction. Kenya is under construction everywhere. There's construction. As matters roads, railway. You have seen they are upgrading the Kisumu airport at an amount of, I think, around 3 billion. So the next time you travel to Kisumu Dala, you are going to experience some VIP treatment. Unajua watu wanajitanga Europeans.
Asikia mlienda huko mkalalamika bei ya samaki karibu wamalize.
Bei ya samaki
Anwar SADDAT akaba anatuambia mambo ya bei ya samaki iliendaje pale. Asikia jamaa wenu hapo Dhuku. Asikia Dhuku alienda akasema waje luo anakulaje samaki kama samaki ni 500. Ikakuwa shida.
Samaki kwa mjaluo ni 300, 400, lakini mgeni akija 300, 100, 1,000.
We must promote the economy, bwana.
200. Okay, you must support. Other merchandises around the Kisumu Jomo Kenyatta Stadium. There were merchandises all over, and they were selling to people. That's why I'm telling you, it was a boom.
Lakini uko sure ni watu wa Kisumu walikuwa wanauza ama ilikuwa Solomon KURIA? Unajua nakushuku sana ulienda Kisumu kufanya nini? Nasema wewe ndio ulikuwa unauza kofia ya Madaraka. Yawezekana, lakini kuna wale watu wanajulikana na biashara hapa Kenya. And also we have to agree to a certain point that in Kisumu now the number of other tribes have increased. People can now go down there and do business as opposed to sometimes back 2017 and going back to 2013, people were worried, if I set up a business here, is it going to is it going to be there in the next 2 or 3 years? But now people can see there is peace, and they have established businesses there. Right.
It's like we used to have in Rift Valley when we had the 2007-2008 violence, and now it has settled. Guys, people can work anywhere. Nowadays there is peace in the country, and we have
amani kila mahali.
Kuna amani kila mahali.
Kama ni Nyanza
tunachapa biashara bwana.
Haya, acha tuende ule upande wa diaspora. Watu wa Kongambo wanatuambia sijui unasikia. Naona kuna Joel ARAMA tayari ashaingia pale. Masi na kuona Masio Mange. Naona Anwar SADDAT tayari ashaingia hapa. Kumbe majini na kwanga tafuti inaitwa Clifu. Alafu naona John Rugumi, sioni sura yake, lakini namuona yuko pale. Nitaanza na Joel ARAMA ndiye aweze kufungua paneli yake pale. Joel, jambo.
Jambo bwana Vitok. Can you hear me okay?
Kabisa, happy Madaraka.
Happy Madaraka bwana. Naona bwana KURIA is very optimistic. Well, it looks like it was a success. Despite unajua kila kitu lazima iko na drama zake. Yeah. They say I saw one caption, I hope I will rephrase it correctly. Anasema watu wa Nyanza, they don't get arrested, they get carried away to they get airlifted.
I saw some guy who was airlifted.
They get airlifted. But it was a good thing. Gerald, my not to dampen on the enthusiasm of the occasion, I just want to go, I think was it a day before Madaraka where we had that accident with the helicopter?
Yeah, it was a day before Madaraka.
Yeah, my biggest concern ni Wakenya jameni, tuache kukimbilia mahali unaona accident alafu unakimbia. Hii helicopter sio motorbike.
Eyewitness bwana. Hujui maana kwa eyewitness Kenya hii. Hujui sikia mama.
Gerald, I'm telling you, if that thing could, if people are lucky that helicopter did not burst into flames. They don't know how powerful or how the highest temperature that the jet fuel burns. hiyo mafuta ikikuchoma my friend, you scream, utaongea mpaka Kijerumani na Kigiriki na kila kitu at once. So you know, to me is we need to start learning. There are some things huwezi kimbia tu ati ndege imeanguka na wewe unakimbia hapo. Maybe, you know, not even the thing bursting into flames. Hizo blades zingevunjika and that thing runs out na hiyo momentum ya kurotate, it will just cut you into 2 pieces, either your hand, your leg, your neck, everything. So people have to be cautious.
Okay.
To me, that was my biggest concern. Other than that, you know, tutaongea mambo za speeches na kila kitu huko, but I mean, I was very happy. For one, the entire ceremony, with all the concerns about safety and COVID and all that, but the entire thing was very upbeat. People were welcomed as guests, as you expect. Walikaribishwa vizuri kabisa. Everybody felt special. Hakuna mtu alirushiwa mawe, you know. Kama walipewa mawe ni ya kwenda kujenga. Hakuna mtu aligongwa. So it was a good day. I would say generally it was a good day, and I say I wish Kenyans, this is what we need to do. Okay. Hata ukipewa 500 ukuje kutukana watu, wewe weka 500, enda nunue samaki ya 500, kula, relax, have a good day. That's it. Mambo hii ingine rejereja hadi kupigo karate kwa floor, tuachane naye bwana. So yeah, we say in peace. That's what we need to do. That's where our country need to head. Okay. And after that, everything else follows. So that's what I would say for now. Wacha nipewe wenzangu nafasi pia.
Haya, nimeona tayari Masi ameamuka. Masi, jambo.
Jambo, habari zenu?
Abi Madaraka.
Wewe na guest wako huko. Mko sawa sawa? Yeah, sisi tuko sawa sawa. Regarding the topics, I mean, ARAMA, I think, has said we're going to talk about the topics that are more important. But regarding what happened in Kisumu, hiyo sherehe na kila kitu, I think that was great. And I think mwenye alikuja na hii idea ya kuweka hizi national holidays in different towns, I think that was a genius idea. Because in a bring some sort of feeling and watu wana feel hata sisi tunakumbuka. You see, like in Kisumu, you can tell, you know, for decades now, ni kama people in Kisumu and Nyanza in general felt, you know, ni kama walikuwa wametulimiwa. They were never treated. But now with this, you can see the enthusiasm. I mean, you know, I saw a clip of, I think, William Ruto outside, whatever, and that was amazing, like the way ARAMA anasema. That's how it's supposed to be. Hata wakati elections ingekuwa iko namna hiyo, end leader akuje apige maneno yake, watu wamshangilie basi. Toka kwenda hakuna mambo ya fujo na kadhalika. Aya, regarding your safety helicopter, that was unfortunate. I was also concerned, but you know what, sometimes it kind of, I don't want to say it scares me, but the way these helicopters are flying all over and everything else, and sometimes I mean, not to say that something bad is going to happen. I mean, the politicians need to be careful, and the people need to be cautious too. Kwa vile kitu inaanguka, unaona watu wengine wanakaribia, but I mean, this is Kenya. It's not saying the right thing, but kama nasahau kuna wakati the late Saitoti, I think ilikuwa tanka imeanguka, ilikuwa Salgama wapi, alafu akasema this is a lesson to be learned, alafu Mama Lucy akamrarua kwa press conference. So kwa Kenya ni watu, something like that ikihappen, hata anyway inazokuwa forest, sijui watu wanatoa jerrycan wapi, lakini watu wamefika na jerrycan kuchukua mafuta. So it's also poverty. So I mean, it's a lot. So but anyways, in general, I think regarding the Madaraka Day, I think that was great.
Okay. All right. And finally, kabla sijafikia, naona kuna jamaa, kabla sijaenda kwa Anwar SADDAT, John Rugumi. How are you?
Hi.
How are you, sir?
Fine, thank you, sir.
We would like to see your face.
Oh, you want to see my face?
For the sake of optical reference sometimes later.
Hello?
How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you, sir.
Where are you joining us from?
I'm in Loiro, Juja.
Loiro? Habari ya Juja.
Tuko wazima hapa.
Habari ya Madaraka?
Madaraka ilikuwa salama. No, it was interesting to see that everybody was welcomed. For me, that was the greatest thing.
Okay.
kwa sababu hii nchi ni yetu sisi wote
kabisa.
Yeah, so hakukuwa na makasiriko. Hata wale walikuwa wanataka kuwa na makasiriko, there was no room for makasiriko. To me it was a great day.
So what is your general observation?
People are maturing up. People are coming up. People are maturing up because you cannot expect, for example, Ruto to go there and people want him to talk to them and all that. There's a bit of maturity.
Okay.
Yeah. Which I think is good for the country.
Kabisa.
Yeah.
Sasa ndugu yangu, tutakurudia bado. Acha tuende kwa Anwar Sadano. Sadano, jambo. Anwar
ako muted.
Please unmute yourself. Naona ni yako imenyongwa kidogo. Please unmute yourself, Anwar. Let me try and unmute you from my end kwa sababu ni kama okay. Ananiambia I can't unmute you bana. Okay. Afadhali unmute yourself, Anwar, or please Douglas try and unmute him on your end. You have to unmute yourself, Anwar.
All right.
Hi,
can you hear me now?
Unajua Arama ako na miaka mingi kukuliko lakini anaelewa teknolojia kuliko bana.
I had
given that you come from Kisumu, why are you disappointing us on Madaraka?
I apologize for the technical difficulties this morning.
Good to see you. How are you?
The Madaraka Day was a success. I think it demonstrated the character of the Luo people. We are very forgiving. We forget very quickly. I think we are also a welcoming and a loving people. So it was beautiful to see what was going on. And I think that is the spirit that I hope the Kenyan people can continue to embrace. Watu wa Kenya ni watu wa amani. Wale wanaotuchochea ni viongozi. Ikifika wakati wa siasa. Lakini generally sisi kama wa Kenya tumependana, tunaishi kwa amani. Ikifika wakati wa siasa ndio tunagawanywa kikabila. So but it was a beautiful thing to see everybody there. I think for me the highlight of the moment was seeing Atuoli constantly watching his road in Nairobi and not given the opportunity to speak. So I think that was hilarious, but everything else was successful.
Why Atuoli? Why Atuoli? You are singing for Atuoli, man.
Alikuwa anasema nyinyi mnataka kubomoa barabara yake, so but I think everything else was very extremely successful. We are glad Wahome was able to eat fish. Isipokuwa alikuwa analalamika bei ilikuwa juu sana. Nikaona picha nyingine anapiga kwa anakula mahindi, but hopefully he enjoyed his fish. Yes.
Okay. So I think is that your general observation, or you still have any other observation on the same?
No, that is my general observation.
Okay, but we can now dig into the conversation. I'm seeing Kipchumba Kendago has joined us. I don't know where he's joining us from. Kipchumba, Jambo. Unmute yourself.
Hello.
Jambo, boss.
Jambo mkubwa, how are you, Pitok?
Salama sana. Naona kuna msema hapa Anwar Sadat is hitting the mouth of England. All right. Kipchumba tuambie.
Salama sana mkubwa, habari ya kushinda?
Salama sana. Aba Madaraka.
Madaraka ilikuwa mzuri. My observation is that I think our way of doing things in Kenya is quite changing, very encouraging. It is very impressive that you can see leaders of different political shade come together and share their opinions in a common platform. And they enjoy a general acceptability across the public. That was very encouraging. I think for once we had a picture in Kisumu which should actually portray our unity as a country. And going forward, Kisumu should actually be an example of how we conduct our business, especially public affairs issues. We shouldn't actually create enmity because of having a discourse that does not resonate very well with the next person. Because at the end of the day, we all remain Kenyans. And for that matter, nobody will get out of this country to go and become something else from anywhere or turn into another citizen in this country. So my opinion is that Madaraka Day was a success.
Okay.
I want to call upon our leaders to embrace one another. Let us, have a divergent opinion over matters, but let's remain one at the end of the day. That was all. That's my opinion.
Okay. Okay, all right. That's an interesting thing. Now let's go back all the way up to the beginning. Before you come back to the studio, I want to start back again with ARAMA. Now let's get to the speeches. Any notable speeches that you noticed?
Gerald, generally, to me, the speeches everybody said what they had to say. To me, the idea actually just to divert just a little bit from the discussion and say, the leaders should take this. I'm hoping all the leaders will take an example from this and actually extend to some level, extend the Kisumu Madaraka to the rest of the country. Okay. What I mean, I would like to see the deputy president inviting any of these other people who his fellow competitors and say, hey, come to Sugoi and let's have a cup of tea. Walk around and say hi to people. Same thing, Raila, hey, you come to Bondo, let's walk around and say hi to people. So that we start building, unajua, Bitok, when you become familiar with somebody, hata mkikosana, the level of intensity of your exchange will be a little bit lower. Itakuwa ile, the first sister will not be fighting. The first sister ilikuwa bwana, mbona unanikosea? It will bring up more of a discussion than a fight in the first place. So I think it's a great opportunity for our leaders everywhere to lead that by example. And also for my fellow Kenyans. It's also an opportunity for us to start interacting with each other closely. The more you know the other person, the more you understand the other person, the more you view them as a human being, as you. And then the more haitafika mahali at every election, inafika mahali wakati results inaanza kutangazwa naambio this tribe is a no-go zone for you in this area. This other tribe is a no-go zone for you in this area. Because now we become one. We know each other. If I'm traveling, I know I can travel from Nairobi to Eldoret or Kisumu, anywhere, with peace. Nobody's going to harass me on the road or anything. Everybody will irrespective of our political opinions, you can still travel freely in the country during political seasons. I don't have to worry about my property, mwingine atanichomea nini. No, everybody knows, hey, siasa ni mpira kila siku, tunapiga siasa, just like any other game there. Mwenye ameshinda, we move on. So that to me is what I would love to see, a continuation of this Madaraka Day spirit, Kisumu, let's call it the Kisumu Madaraka Day spirit, to continue for the rest of the country and going forward. Now, coming to the speeches, I know, I think during the week and some other quarters, people are complaining about the president breaking protocol. And I just want to remind people, he's the president, and he's the one who dictates the protocol. If he decided to invite Raila to speak after him, so what? No big deal. I think he was according him a certain respect that I'm in your backyard, I will let you have the last word. It was, to me, that's how I want to view it. I don't want to view it as a thing of, the president broke protocol. No. He gave everybody their time and their respect and the way he planned it. Okay. He decided to invite the Right Honorable Raila to speak last after him. And I think that was great. In his moment of jovialism and making the whole thing very nice, that was great. The speeches, a little bit disappointed with his with his annoyance with the judiciary of what they decided. But at the same time, I still believe everybody has a right to speak what they want to say. But as being as a president also, sometimes there are things you can't say in public. You can pick up a phone and yell at that person in private. That's fine. But in public, let's maintain that civility. That to me, that was a little bit of what dented the whole event of Madaraka Day. But the other people's, you saw the way Ruto interacted with people. He threw in a few jokes here and there. He greeted people in their local language. And, the whole thing, the speeches, to me, the highlights is not even among the details. Because, when you go to the details about what the president highlighted about the projects and everything else, like the gentleman you spoke with yesterday, the question comes up, at what cost? Yes, we built this, we did this, but at what cost? Unaweza niambia nimekununulia gari and I am happy, but gari 1 million, you bought it for 10 million. So yes, I still have a car, but at what cost? So nalipa loan ya 10 million kulipa loan ya 1 million. That's, to me, is the difference. But we still have hope, and I keep on believing that our country is not fully lost. We still have hope, and every now and then people remember who we are, and I hope that we can continue. It's just a question of us taking advantage of what we have started, and every time we get an opportunity to restart, to refresh, can we take advantage and build up on that? Let it not just be a flashpoint, a 1 second event, and then after that, kila mtu amesahau, we go back to our corners, and the next day we start sharpening our spears and everything else, start fighting each other. So to me, that's generally that I'll say about the speeches. But I don't know. We still have a country to live, Bwana. Can we make it better? Can we improve on it? That to me will be my biggest takeaway from it.
Okay. All right. MASI.
Regarding the speeches, one thing I can say that, let's say generally, I liked the speeches, and I know it is Madaraka Day where we celebrate not independence, but we're now like a republic and everything else. There's one thing that, bothers me with all the national, celebrations that we have. Why can't we why should a president of Burundi come to Kenya? He's doing a speech on a national holiday in Swahili. And our leaders, which is our country, something is just wrong. I don't see the reason why a president should give a speech for 48 minutes and give 3 minutes in Swahili. That day is for Kenyans. You're addressing us.
Yes.
So I think we should start embracing. You'll never, you'll hear a president of Russia knows how to speak English and German actually very well, but you'll never hear him even speaking English anyway. In private, he'll speak with the other leaders or in German or whatever. You never hear that. The reason why is that national pride, national, I remember this year, Ngugi wa Thiong'o had something and an award he was given somewhere, and he gave the speech in Kikuyu. So we should try, that's part of when ARAMA says, it's part of embracing ourselves. And as much as we go, we must move out and meet other people, person traveling from Nyeri anasema, wacha niende nikule hii weekend where in Kisumu, ama niende nikule in Kakamega, nikae na watu, watu huko nipige nao stories. That's what is the most, that's what should be encouraged, especially on a day like Madaraka. Not even Jamhuri Day, Madaraka means that we have earned that to be ourselves. So, generally, to comment on the substance of the speeches, Raila gave a good speech. I saw someone was criticizing him about wacha kutuambia mambo ya Kavirondo na kila kitu, tuambie ya saa hii what will help us. What else? Ruto gave a good speech. I think they gave good speeches. Especially, even Uhuru's speech was okay, except the part that everybody's talking about when he kind of talked about the judiciary and about you have to follow the will of the people. But you know what? The way they say, the will of the people without law is mob justice. So you have to. The laws are there for a reason. We all know, even to kill a person who knows it's wrong, but it's still written down so that it's there, it's anchored in. Okay. So in a way, I saw the speech he gave when Martha Koome, the Chief Justice, when she was sworn in. And now you could see it's almost like, I don't want to say he wants a favor, but it's kind of, it looks, help us out here, because they found themselves in a corner. And I think either they were overconfident or they were misguided in the way they went about the whole thing, but we'll see. Because, the case is in court. But generally, I think the whole thing was, it was well. So that's all I can say for now.
Okay. All right. John, any speeches, any notable speeches from Madaraka? John, unmute yourself. You are muted, John. Microphone yako iko muted.
Hello.
Yes, Jambo, any notable speeches?
No, the speeches were all good, but it's just that of president who was trying to push whatever he wanted to push about the BBI and all that. But I think all the speeches were reasonably okay. I can't complain.
Okay. All right. Kipchumba, any notable speeches? And we close with Anwar. Unmute yourself.
Okay, Gerald, thank you so much for that. On my side, when it comes to speeches, I think generally my observation was that the speeches were quite okay. Everybody made their point clearly known. Characteristically, all the speakers that took the stage to actually address the nation at Kisumu seems to have their own way of addressing Kenyans. So and you know, some of our speeches, whenever we get to the public to address them, many a times carries the aspirations of what is happening currently. So if you look at the speech by Raila taking us back to, you know, down the memory lane,
Kavirondo,
where our independence began from, our Madaraka started. That was quite notable, and that is him. That he has always addressed us that way. He wasn't any different. For William Ruto, trying to paint a clear picture of what is his understanding about our forefathers having started our country, and what he's thinking about how we should actually be connecting between the present and even the past that has always been himself. The only person who seemed to have an issue to make a point on that day was the president. In my opinion, the president took to stage and used the forum to try and create a situation where he would want to paint a picture of what's going to happen going to the future, with regard to especially issues of BBI and other things. And I think he was rightfully so, in my opinion, now that he's the president of the country. Sometimes we also require him to take a position over some matter. And therefore, when he's on the stage addressing the country, we shouldn't appear to gag him so much. I think it's only for us to dissect what he said and try to get his meaning. And that's all. We shouldn't also be able to castigate what the president say in trying to say that you don't show a bad thing by doing a bad thing. He's our president at the end of the day, and in as much as we don't agree with how he addressed the nation, and especially when he was actually describing the judiciary and talking so much about what the judiciary did, well, we could have an issue with that. But in as much as we would want to say that he needed to have done it differently, also as the publics, we also ought to do our things differently, because many a times you realize that the president is also being, talked at in several forums, and we also send a different picture as a people. So when the president responds in his own manner, he's actually one of us, and I think being the person that he is, he needed to make a point, especially with what has happened, especially on two events: the nullification of his elections, and now the BBI. We are coming to a situation where our presidency is formed, and I think he was taking an issue with that. I do not have an issue with the judgments of the court. I don't have an issue with the pronouncements of the court. But going forward, there seems to be a tussle that is being created between the executive and the judiciary. And I think that, in my opinion, is not very healthy for our nation, and something has to be done about that one. Thank you.
All right. Anwar SADDAT, what are your thoughts on the speeches? And also, do you have an issue with the broken protocol, quote in quote?
No, I don't have an issue with broken protocol. Sometimes these protocols are dictated by the occurrence of the day. So I think the president was in rightful place to have invited the Right Honorable Prime Minister to speak. So I think that is fine. I think the speeches were wonderful. I think Engineer Raila continues to hold an immense knowledge about our history that I think is immeasurable. think that is a treasure that hopefully he will find a way to communicate it down to the younger generation, probably in a memoir or something of that nature. I think that the speech by the Deputy President was befitting the occasion. He was able to capture the history of our nation and have the overarching effect of how do we apply it to the future of our nation. I found the speech of the President out of place. And I think this is not the first one. I think that over the last 3 or 4 times, I think the speech of the President has always been kind of off place. The President, I think, probably using these national holidays to defend himself or probably to advertise what he has done. I think those are speeches that are intended for the State of the Nation. If you're giving the State of the Nation address, then it is in place for you to enumerate what you think you've achieved. When we are talking about a ceremony like the one we had in Madaraka, then I think you need to limit yourself and exercise great restraint. But I think the President is somebody that is not used to restraint. I think he always wants his way. If he doesn't get his way, he throws tantrums. And that is not good for us, I think, as a nation, especially on issues as divisive as the BBI. I think the President ought to take a more neutral ground and allow the legal process, the due legal process to take course, the issues to be litigated in court. And if it does go to the referendum, the Kenyan people to make that decision. But I think him inserting himself in the middle of all this was not the best. Yes, but I did take offense with the speech of the President. I think it was out of place. It was not appropriate for the occasion.
All right, so you have a problem with the President's speech?
Yes.
You say, all right. I don't know if any notable speeches that my good friend here, Solomon KURIA, has.
Bwana Gerald.
Yes, Joel.
Did you reach out to your fellow media personality, Madam Kanze Dena, na muuliza hii date ya 35 alitoa wapi?
Amesema bwana msimpe sudress. Akona sudress tayari na dosha. Atake boresha. Tarehe 35. Kwanza alisema tena ati Magi na mke wa rais wa Burundi watakuwa na mipango zao za kanda. Solomon KURIA. Tuambie dadi.
Duty 35 bado I think haijafika. But let me say, people castigating the president for speaking the way he spoke on Madaraka Day really do not understand what it means to defend one's territory. I have seen on several occasions the Speaker of the National Assembly, telling the judiciary that Parliament or legislature is the arm of government with the sole mandate of formulating laws for this country.
Okay.
Because of some laws emanating from the National Assembly, they are challenged in the judiciary and somehow they don't go through. I have seen this, both the speakers defending the legislature. We have seen on several occasions the Chief Justice, former Chief Justice, Justice Madaraka, coming out to defend the judiciary and saying, A, B, C, D, the executive is doing this and this, the parliament is not doing this and this, including saying that the current parliament should be dissolved because it has not attained the 2/3 gender rule.
Okay.
So the president came out to defend the executive, and he came in 2 ways. One, he told the judiciary that the Constitution of Kenya is not a yoke on our necks. The judiciary should not try to show the country that, there are some articles. In fact, there are some articles they called what? Eternal clauses. That you cannot touch this.
Okay.
And he was telling them, this is not a yoke on our necks. There is no any article or any chapter in the Constitution that cannot be amended by the people of Kenya.
Okay.
Because Article 1 is very clear. The sovereignty and power belongs to the people of Kenya.
Okay.
Number 2, he talked about the judiciary trying to ignore the voice of the people. BBI is a process that was initiated by the people of Kenya. And the judiciary should just respect that.
The people of Kenya.
and keep off. So what he is saying, he is trying to defend the executive arm of government, which he leads. What is wrong with that? If somebody came to your show, the taco, and told you you don't do this and this, are you going to agree with them? You defend your show.
Okay.
Number two, let me remind Kenyans about of where we have come from. And especially those of us saying that the president did not speak did not speak well. Let us remember the issue of KMC with that court order that came out. The president addressed the issue of the burden of choice. So if the judiciary tells the president, don't do this, do this, they must also down there indicate who carries the burden. He referred to the 2017 general elections. They were nullified by the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court was not kind enough to say that since we have cancelled these elections, so this amount of money will come from ABCD to conduct these and these elections. Okay. We had just come from an election. We had spent close to 50 billion Kenya shillings. The elections were cancelled due to quote-unquote technicalities. If you ask Madaraka today, and this one I have said in your show, this is the third time I'm saying this, Madaraka knew very well that the outcome of the repeat election would produce Uhuru Kenyatta as the president. So sometimes we wonder, are technicalities above? Are technicalities worth? Are technicalities worth the 20 billion we spent for the repeat election? If we knew that if we carried out the recount of the votes, still Uhuru Kenyatta would emerge as the winner. We still went ahead and carried out the elections, spent over 20 billion Kenyan money, and the burden of choice is placed on the executive. Remember the issue of KMC, and this one is very personal to me. President Moi Kibaki, in his term as the president, second term actually, gave 1 billion to KMC, which was then under the Minister of Agriculture, to revive. KMC did not come back. Today, Uhuru Kenyatta has already given 2 billion. Before he transferred it, he had given it 2 billion revival. It's like Uchumi. It did not come back. It was still under the Ministry of Agriculture. He transferred KMC from the Ministry of Agriculture to the Ministry of Defense. And within 2 months, the new management had paid debts going all the way to about 4 years. Arrears, going up to 4 years. They paid. Nowadays, they are paying within 72 hours of delivery. And they are paying. And they are receiving over 1,000 heads of cattle per day. So let us ask ourselves, and this is the burden of choice. If now we take this department back to Minister of Agriculture, who will take care of these losses? And here we can see the Minister of Defense is working and farmers are getting paid within 72 hours. He gave another example. And this one also has to be very dear to Kenyans. Have to defend where right decisions are made. Kenyans have to defend the president and the executive when they make a right decision. The president of the Republic of Kenya approached Kenya Railways and told them, guys, I need you to go and revive MV Uhuru, the marine vessel at Kisumu Port. They came back to him and told him, Mr. President, we have approached a number of consultants and we have arrived at one, and he has given us a hands up that he is going to revive, he is going to refurbish MV Uhuru at a cost of 1.5 billion Kenya shillings. So the president realizes, 1.5 billions? Okay. He tries plan B. He calls KDF, tells them, can you go and assess the cost of reviving MV Uhuru? KDF comes back to him and tells him, Mr. President, we are going to revive that at a cost of 250 million only.
Okay.
From 1.5 billion to 250 million Kenya shillings. Now today as we speak, the vessel is alive and kicking. It's actually taking oil to Uganda, and we are hoping to take to Burundi within the next few months. So look at how much he saved. And I'm telling you, if he went through the ministry, you know, and went through the Kenya Railways, we would have spent 1.5 billion, and probably that vessel would not be working.
Okay.
So we have to tell ourselves where he has seen some light. And we are the people who complains every day. We are telling him, Mr. President, you have to fight corruption. Okay? Let us also give him the space of how to fight that corruption.
Okay.
Because I believe this is one way. If someone had given a quotation of 1.5 billion, the president, through his own wisdom, so this is not fair, went for someone who would do it at 250 million. And it is a success. I mean, guys, let us give him space. And I would say, without a blink on my eye, that it is not the prerogative of the judiciary to offer roles to ministries.
Okay.
This is the work of the president. In fact, through the public service, he can even create departments. The other day, he just moved a number of parastatals from the Minister of Transport and took them to the Minister to Treasury and CS, the current CS for Treasury.
Okay.
And nobody gave a hoot about it. Why is this KMC becoming an issue? Because the cartels were enjoying billions. Uchumi today we know is a cash cow for a few guys. They would not want anyone coming with a permanent solution for Uchumi, just like we now have a permanent solution for Uchumi, for KMC. Finally, I must say this as a patriotic Kenyan, that a section of the judiciary is under the capture of the civil societies.
Okay.
And this is a fact. And we must say it daily. Let them take us where they will take us, but we must tell them. Some of the court orders given. A few days ago, a few months ago, you saw Matiang'i speak that one individual from the civil societies is able to acquire up to 15 court orders within a very short time. A very short time. So we must also agree that some of the decisions that are made by the judiciary somehow are influenced from some quarters. And we must tell Kenyans that judiciary is not sacred, just like parliament is not sacred, just like executive is not sacred. We must stop this thing of obey the law, keep this, like the guys doing that, are saints. No, we have seen judges who released the Akasha brothers.
Okay.
They are still judges today. They said Akasha brothers are clean. They do not sell drugs to Kenyans. When they were taken to America, today they are serving a jail term of 25 years. Yet in Kenya, they were released. They were set scot-free. Why are those judges still sitting and hearing cases? I mean, we must call these people out. And some sections of this world, judges are elected. And I believe it is a time we thought about that. Because these people must be accountable to the citizens they serve. Let also their job be put under scrutiny.
All right.
Today you become a judge, it's only death that can separate you from your job.
Okay.
That's
all right. Wacha tuone diaspora, taanza na Joel ARAMA. The issues I know Anwar SADDAT looks like he's waiting to fight back. Anyway, all right. That is Joel ARAMA. Now, there's a few things I want you to pick out, Joel. First of all, one of them is President's comment on 2017 nullification of elections. Now, he's saying it in front of the guy who was the beneficiary of that ruling, who is Raila Odinga, his handshake partner. That's number one. Number two, let's also look at issues of KMC and KDF. Well, we could agree that they have done a good job. Well, it's feasible. They have done well, but where is the transition into this when running governance? It doesn't mean that we need to move all the government institutions. I saw Cliff from Better yesterday was also suggesting that maybe it's time the president also got lawyers from KDF for BBI. I don't know. What comments do you have to make about remarks from my good friend Solomon KURIA?
Bwana Gerald, respectfully, let me yield the floor to Anwar first, because Anwar is about to punch the screen. Let him speak first, then I will respond after him.
Anwar, karibu.
Well, I have had a lot of things. I would don't know where to begin. I think it is okay for us to clarify that the judiciary litigate issues that are brought before them. Those issues are brought by prosecutors. You cannot blame judges for a poorly presented case. They will apply the law to the cases that is brought before them. It is the responsibility of the Ministry of Finance to allocate finances. When judges decide on a court issue, they do not have to look at the financial implications of their rulings. That is the responsibility of the cabinet secretary to do that. I have had this argument about Kenya Railways, Kenya Meat Commission, and how the president has bringing the generals in, has been able to help them. These are government parastatals that were run by appointees of the president. So you're telling me the president interviewed people that were there before, he gave them appointments and they failed him. Was he not aware that they were not able to deliver? So it is when I appoint you into a position and you fail, it is my failure as the appointing authority. So we have to be able to put the blame where it squarely lies. It is upon the president of the Republic State of Kenya. The president continues to appoint people that are inept. There are so many Kenyans that are able to run those organizations well, not necessarily people from the military. But that is his problem. We cannot go on into the issues of appointing judges. The president defending his territory. I'm kind of still confused. What territory is this that the president has to defend apart from the Constitution of Kenya? President swore to defend our Constitution. The president has refused for the 9 years or 8 years that he's been president. He has deliberately saboted the Constitution so that he can have an excuse to overhaul the Constitution. We have one of the best constitutions in the world, but the president has refused to implement it. Why? Because he wants an excuse to do with BBI. If he fully implemented our 2010 Constitution, some of the issues that we have now, we cannot have them. I can probably ask, what is preventing the president today from declaring an amnesty for help students that are having loans? Does it have to be passed by a constitutional amendment? What is preventing the president today from giving the tax break? Does it have to be done by a constitutional amendment? Does the 2010 Constitution disallows him to do so? And when people say that the BBI process is a voice of the people, they are also a voice of the other people. You see, we have the other side also. So the president has to remain neutral in these conditions. I think there was a point that was raised that Madaraka, the former Chief Justice, knew the outcome of the 2017 election before he nullified it. How is that possible, though? Elections are express will of the people, where people go to vote by a secret ballot. How was it then that Takenyo claims that Madaraka knew that the outcome of the election was still the same?
Okay.
Unless it had been predetermined. So I think we have to be truthful to ourselves. The president continues to fail, and he is putting scapegoats on other issues and other people that are not responsible for the failures that we have. The failure squarely lies on the president.
Okay. So, mwanguko unaangukia kwa rais mwenyewe.
Yeah, Bwana Gerald. Yeah, let me continue what Anwar had said. And I think we talked about, let's start with the 2017 election that Bwana Solomon keeps on going back to. And let me remind him one thing. Both the president and the Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga, our dear friend Okud, were all competitors in this race. The nullification was not about the participants. The nullification was about the referee and the process of the election.
Okay.
That was a problem. Because he was saying, yes, you have declared this person a winner. Show us how. And then that's when we found out, I never knew that servers can migrate from one country to another, and all of a sudden is in the Indian Ocean or whichever Pacific Ocean or somewhere. That was a problem. The problem was not about the president or Raila Odinga or Auru Akot or whoever else, my buddy Dida over there, or anybody else who participated in the election. The process was the people who were refereeing the competition. How did you declare this person the winner? So that the courts were trying to ensure that the infamous Tarakaniti moment does not happen, whereby you have a registered number of voters, 100,000, but then you find 1 million votes from 100,000 people. Okay. It is and then the other thing you have to remember, in the entire world, it is statistically impossible for any area in election to have 100% turnout. It's statistically impossible. there is no way, Gerald, you can convince me today that you register 200,000 people in a constituency who are registered to vote, and the entire 200,000 people turn up to vote. That is an impossibility. By the time people register and when people go to vote, people die. People go to hospital. Others like Shaurienu, I'm in Mombasa. I'm not coming to Kiambu to vote, or I'm not going to Kisumu to vote. I'm too busy. You can get 95, 90% maybe. But getting 100% and sometimes 110%, and other places we are getting 120%, that is impossible. So it is the process that was being adjudicated, and this process that was being challenged in court. Is not the issue of, oh, the president got this number of votes, or the president winner. Yes, we want to make sure, even though he won, yes, but was it a fair process? Was the process how transparent? Can I go back and tally the votes? Even me, count the votes and say, okay, I see how this was counted from the constituency level, or from the polling station level, all the way the numbers add up until the end. Can I follow that trail and see that? Now, coming to what Bwana KURIA is highlighting about KMC, I don't know why he keeps on harping on this KMC thing. You may need to declare his vested interest on this KMC. But here is my question. Let's go back to that. And let me give you, for the sake of argument, that yes, the KDF have done a good job in managing KMC. But my question is, the people who had been managing it before and have failed repeatedly, are they in jail right now? No. Were they fired? Gerald, did you hear any announcement, Kanzadena or anybody else announcing the directors of KMC before or during the Ministry of Agriculture, they were fired? Did you hear anybody getting fired?
I think Solomon can answer that better.
Yeah. So when you tell us, yes, the president, I'm not, okay. And I said, for the sake of argument, I'm not going to say, oh, you did a wrong thing to move it to the other side. But what happened to the people who sold the 2 billion, as you claim, that he invested into the KMC? What happened to those people? You know, so when you come up, these are the arguments, you know, when you go to the Greek, the philosophy of arguments and all the arguments people give, I can Google it up quickly and tell you which one is which. Like, it's almost like a strawman theory. You are telling me, oh, this guy did wrong, I move it to this other side, but this guy never got punished. That to me, that is the biggest question that the president needs to answer. Now, when you come to the judiciary and you are challenging, and he mentioned the Akasha brothers, repeatedly, even the US government said, the problem is not even with the judges. The problem was the people who are presenting the evidence. Remember, the Akasha brothers were deputy police commissioners. That's what KURIA forgets. If you go back and look, these people were actually on the rank of deputy police commissioner in Kenya. So how can you blame? Yes, maybe the magistrate had some ways to blame, but the judges, the rule of law does not allow a judge to use public perception or reports that were never tabled in. He has to follow what evidence was presented in court. Now, if KURIA has an instant of where he knows for sure that a prosecutor or there were people who testified and provided direct evidence that the Akasha brothers did this, and the judges ignored that, then we can speak about that. But if you don't have that, stop blaming people for doing their job. Your work is to go present your evidence. If my evidence and my argument persuades the judge by the law to rule in my favor, you cannot go back and say, oh, the judge was wrong because I am in power, so he should consider my authority during making his judgment. No, they are there to rule according to the law. So you cannot come and say, oh, the civil society is controlling the judiciary. My friend, I can take you back in history. It is the civil society that helped us to navigate. Let's start from the Moise regime. I remember I have very, very personal friends, people that I know If you remember the infamous women who went to the Freedom Square and decided to remove all their clothing garments in protest. Some of those people are, some of those women are people that I know personally. I grew up with their kids. We went to the same school. Some of them I consider as my brothers. I know of people who, one of those mothers, her son was killed. A good guy, somebody we looked up in our community as a somebody you look up to. He has gone through school. He did this. He came back to the community. These are people who donated their time to come and teach us in school for free. And when he died, we were sad. Even up to date, these are memories that I remember. I can tell you exactly the time. I can tell you the people who give speeches during this guy's funeral. And the civil society, everybody has a part to play in our country, in any society. So if these are the only people who can defend my right as a Kenyan to exist and express my opinion, Gerald, you remember there was I think you might have posted the same thing. Yes. The young man in Middle East who went to criticize the government and he was thrown in jail. He's a Kenyan. You know, he forgot. In Kenya, you call Uhuru everything under the moon and star. If there's nothing he can do, the only thing he did was quit Twitter and say, I can't deal with you Kenyans, you're too much for me. Let me go do something else. But he never sent anybody to get arrested.
Arabu watoke Twitter.
Arabu, Jamari Rusho Jela, I feel very bad for him for saying what he said, forgetting where he was. Those are the examples. So, Bwana Kuria, in as much as yes, and I respect, I have seen comments that people even, expressing their views on what you say and how you say it. But I still respect the chance for you to speak how you speak. But let's deal. One of the things that I say this show enables us is to educate one another. Let's discuss issues in a very honest, persuasive way. Let's not just be blinded, to put it in a nice way, loyalty to a certain aspect. When things are not done according to, because at the end of the day, a society that does not conform to its own laws that they have formulated is not a society anymore. A country that does not follow its own laws and constitution does not exist to be a country. You end up in anarchy. So in as much as the president has good intention, like when you're saying, the MV in Uhuru in Kisumu, somebody gave him a quote of 2 billion. Those guys are still working. The KTF gave a 2 million, which is fine. I agree. Those were two different perspectives. You need to go back and ask people, why are you telling me 2 billion? Why are you going to put an engine to fly this thing in the air? Why? Can you tell me why you did this? Let's follow things to the logical conclusion instead of shifting blame from one end to the other. The president is there to lead the country. And unfortunately, either the people who give him the advice are not doing the right thing. The judiciary is not there to fight the president. And even the things that the judiciary struck against the parliament is because they did not follow the procedure. It's clear. Both houses have to agree and vote on bills that become law. And we know of several instances that the House voted on bills and sent it directly to the president to sign. And the Senate went to court and said, this is wrong. This cannot happen because we never assented to those things. And the judiciary had no choice but to strike it down. So you can't blame them for doing their job and following the constitution and the law that we have already put in place. Now, if you disagree, like what we have done now with the BBI, they are going back to court to appeal. That is a process. You disagree, come and put your counter view and say, hey, I don't agree with this ruling and here is my reasons. If your reasons are persuasive enough. So is KURIA saying that, let's say, for example, now the bench that has been constituted to listen to the appeal, if they rule in favor of the BBI to go forward, are they going to be wrong? Or are they right when they rule in your favor and they are wrong when they rule against you? We can't do that. We have to respect. The thing is, we have to respect. It's not about agreeing or disagreeing. We have a right to agree or disagree. But at the end of the day, we still have to respect, because these are institutions that we have to maintain. If you raise doubts about an institution, what makes me as a common citizen when the courts rule against my case? What you are telling me, I don't have to agree with the court. if they rule against me, I can still overlook it na niseme hata kama mmesema nirudishe hii, sitarudisha, I don't agree with you and I'm not going to return it. Okay. No. You respect, I have a right to appeal, go ahead and appeal. So I think that's where Bwana KURIA, respectively, let's come to a better understanding and let's not doing what we call political, we call them talking points. This is not a show for talking points. This is a show of presenting facts and let's discuss. You can speak your opinion, and when it's countered, you respect that and come up with a better argument. The mambo ya kurecycle the same story every now and then is not a good idea. So let's focus on that. I'm sorry, Gerald, for talking too much. But
well, the first time nimeona hasira ya Mukizi ARAMA toka ng'ambo. Basi.
Yeah, to me, anyways, Solomon, I mean, I respect his point of view, but, when he said that Uhuru was, ati alikuwa na defend territory yake, to me, I found that offensive because on that podium at that particular day, he is the president. He's not a leader of Jubilee. Yeah. I mean, at that particular time, you're the president. That's the moment. That's why I was saying the speeches come out when I was emphasizing Mambia kutumia Swahili or, just address it. Like when Raila was talking about the history and everything else, that's, you are endearing the people to know what happened when he talked about the formations in Central and everything and how people came together. That gives us, the younger generation, a clearer picture of how unity was and how we're supposed to be with each other and where we're supposed to go. So to me, a podium and sasa ndio una criticize ama nini. No, that podium at that particular day, you're the elder person, you're the elder that sits, kaa hapa na uongelesha watu. We are all Kenyans. I mean, sorry to say this, but, he misses that opportunity every time. If he wants to defend the policies of Jubilee, he can call a press conference or like those daily whatever and come in and say, hey, unajua nini, Leo, this is what I've been hearing, this and this and this. But on that particular occasion, we have guests from other countries and everything else. No, it's not about going after anybody. That used to happen. I remember during the Kanu days, Mo used to use that platform to go after the opposition and blame the opposition for everything. Okay, leave that aside. When it comes to the Akasha brothers and the man talked about, yes, he said very well about the case and everything else. We all know, and ARAMA said this, they say in the court, let me say in the judicial world, it's not what you say. A person can even be killed, kila mtu aliona. It's what you can prove in court. If you cannot prove that case in court, it is not, mtu anaona kitu imeibiwa unajua jamaa ni mwizi. But if you go to the court and then you cannot prove that this person stole something, that case will be thrown out. Another thing, when it comes about blaming the courts about mambo ya kutupa ati makesi at the bills, and alikuwa anasema ati what you call Muturi was saying that these courts are, and the way they were saying some people use this thing of like they're being activists. The issue is this: when you look at the legislation, even here in the United States, it doesn't mean that if a bill is passed. I mean, famously enough, the bigger one that people know about, even ARAMA can confirm, was the Affordable Care Act of Obama. The Republican lawyers went all the way to the Supreme Court. As of now, we are talking, I think there's a case about it, the Texas law or something regarding restricting abortion. Is that whatever? So even if it was passed by the state houses, still someone can go to court and petition and say, what do you think about this law? Because sometimes the politician can pass something that it might be unconstitutional, but to the people, it's emotive at that particular time, and it might be wrong in future. So, and that's the thing I say, this idea that anytime the court passes something, in Kenya, it depends on whose side. Ikikuwa to their favor, wakati ilikuwa ikasaidia mambo ya NASA, the other side was complaining. Now they are all together now. No, the thing is what you can prove in court. And the thing is, some things, I think there is this intention of wanajaribu, they're trying to push the envelope a little bit. And I think, if it's not for the courts, I think Kenyans should thank God or something. We would be back. I can see ourselves going back to the Kanu days very easily because we don't have an opposition. I mean, to be honest, all those people have been compromised. We have nothing. And secondly, talking about the civil societies, for us to be where we are now, even when Raila and all those people are being jailed, Orengo, it's the civil society. If it's not for the civil society, I mean, during Moi time, I mean, I don't even know. So, we must appreciate that they're there and try and, and understand. But now, don't look at it as if now, you're in office, these people are enemies. You don't know the next time what they're defending. The next time that law that you're trying to say, hey, well, whatever, might be used to protect you or antagonize you. So you have to kind of look at things from both ends. And lastly, to say anything, this idea of any leader anywhere, something goes wrong and you're blaming here and you're blaming here, I think ARAMA talked about KMC, and, we need to have, Mr. SADDAT said, we need to have accountability. Mtu umeandikwa job, mtu umefail, mwingine amewekwa hapo, umefail, kama zile mabela, uzujia mumias, ama zuji wapi. That means something is wrong somewhere with how these people are being appointed. It means the president is failing in appointing incompetent people. I'll give you an example. When Obamacare was being launched here, there was a lady called Kathleen Sebelius. I think ARAMA knows that story. She was of the Health and Human Services. The website crashed. That's how big it is. How long did she stay in that office? She didn't go right away, but she went not even a long time afterwards. They replaced her because she was the one supposed to be responsible to make sure that the system worked. But on that day that people told her, now you can sign up for Obamacare, it crashed. Mm-hmm. And that was what led her to be gone. Of course, we know she was fired, but after a while, she's going out to the private sector and everything. That's how they let people go. But in Kenya, the same person, kama sijui wa KEMSA, niliona sijui alikuwa transferred, mnamuita nani huyu alikuwa senator ama sijui nini. I think was transferred somewhere else. So it's ridiculous what's going on. This idea of blaming something else because of your own incompetence or because you're not appointing the right people at the job. I mean, it's kind of like the saying, in Swahili, mbaazi akikosa kuzaa anasingizia jua. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. Be accountable. Harry Truman famously said, the buck stops with me. Regardless of what happens, the buck stops with the president. Hata kitu kifanyika Turkana that was wrong, that he's supposed or has appointed someone, it stops with him. So this idea of you cannot blame at yours in your opposition, ama sijui ni nani, ama ni watu fulani, no, we need to stop it. We just need to look at the fact and say, and that's how we are going to go forward or grow. Because if we don't, even in any family, if you live in a family where kila saa you're kind of pambanya, munafunika vitu, whatever. I mean, you'll never achieve anything. But if everybody looks at things in an honest way and knows that this is wrong and this way we need to correct it, then you're going to make progress. But if not, we start throwing away blames, blaming who you, blame who you. We are not going to go anywhere as a country. That's that.
All right, John Rugumi, maybe I give you a minute to make your comments. John, please unmute yourself.
That was a very good discussion because all what these gentlemen are saying is just nothing but the whole truth. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes you wonder, somebody is transferred from, he failed in this parastatal, he's taken to another parastatal, and there's nothing which is taken against him. So I like the discussion. Personally, I like the discussion. I'm just reasoning. Thank you.
Asante sana. I don't know, before we roll it back to the studio for Nani to have his word back, I don't know if anyone has any other remarks from the other end. Anwar?
Yeah, I think the buck stops with the president. And I think the president needs to take responsibility. We have witnessed on many occasions the president throws up his hands. He says 2 billion is being lost every day. Anauliza wa Kenya mnataka nifanye nini? The president must realize that he has a responsibility to lead. Mm-hmm. He's responsible for the functions and the running of the government. He is the appointing authority of these people. These people reports to him, and when they fail, he fails. Mm-hmm. So he needs to be accountable for the actions of these people that he appoints. Okay. That is really the most important thing that he needs to take away from everything.
Haya, tunafungua bunge. Yes, sir.
To me is Bwana Kuria, wacha nikwambie, I don't want to make it's not personal, but please, since you looks like you have an inside track to the Jubilee government, can you invite the president to our taco so that we can talk to him directly? Inaonekana watu wanalipa kwa advice, they are not doing a good job.
Ya Bito.
The taco can do a better job.
I cannot reach him. Anasema mimi ni persona non grata kupita hiyo mlango ya status. Some operating from the peripheries. Hata niko na bado hajafunga kiosk.
But Jara, we still respect him. He's our president. We still respect him and we want him to succeed. Uh-huh. At the end of the day, the president succeeds, the country succeeds, and everybody succeeds. Uh-huh. That is all we are looking for. This is not personal. We are just seeing the way we see things. That's how we call it. Uh-huh. And he's not in any way disrespecting him. Bwana Kuria, mimi I'm just giving you a challenge. Where ambia president akuja hata kama ni 20 minutes. We will talk to him and we will respect him. Hatutamfukuza kama watu wa Twitter. Sisi tutadeal na yeye vizuri.
Aya, pia tunafungua bunge kidogo 779-800-010 779-800-010. Bunge la mwenye nchi iko wazi. Nambari ni 779-800-010 au 779-800-010. You can call him pia uweze kutupa maoni yako. Utuambie unafikiria nini kuhusu Madaraka. Je, Madaraka ipo? Pia kwa masuala ambayo yameweza kuzungumziwa na ndugu zangu hapa. KURIA na studio ile pale ngambo pia Diaspora. Ili kuweza kupata mawazo yako pia you can call in 779-800-010. On the next discussion we talk about the court decisions that were made yesterday, and also is a referendum visible? The timeline that you are seeing, the constitution is very clear on when we should have an election and when we should have a referendum, in which months, and how long before the general election. So is a referendum visible with the timelines that the courts are giving? Oral arguments begin in July, so probably we're gonna have a whole month of the hearing, 7 judge bench hearing. So probably looking at from August, September, that's when you can begin to have a conversation around having a referendum. That is even case the courts approve. Now BBI Secretariat suggested that they wanted us to have a referendum by June. We already on 3rd June. Sijui kama itawezekana tapata, walikuwa wamesema 15th ama ilikuwa 17th June. So tayari tuko na siku ngapi ilibakia? Siku 14, 14 days that remaining for us to have a referendum. So I don't know if we're able to meet the timelines, but before we get there as well, tukisubiri simu wanataka class, I want to give you your line of defense.
One, I have heard the gentleman speak and say that the president, the responsibility lies with the president. He is the one who takes responsibility whenever there is runaway corruption in this country. All the time, the blame is thrown at him because they say the buck stops with him. And I agree 100%. So if the buck stops with him, then why don't you allow him to do what he thinks is best to do to save this country from the runaway corruption?
Okay.
And I believe one of the ways to do that is the way he is involving the KDF in running of the countries of this, in running the affairs of this country. Remember, let me remind you, and that's why I'm saying I'm a beneficiary, because I come from Mount Kenya region, and since I was born, I grew up in the region, Mount Kenya. I've never seen a train cut through from Thika, Murang'a, Nyeri to Nanyuki, and come back with the heads of cattle from Northeastern, that is from Isiolo and the rest. Today it is happening. The people who revived.
Niruhusu nikusumbue kidogo, tuzungumze bunge la mwenye nchi.
Hello.
Jambo kaka.
Jambo Gerald. My name is Aaron. I'm calling from Nairobi.
Aaron, jambo.
Jambo sana.
Haya, mawazo yako.
Salamia watu wa Diaspora na KURIA.
Yes, habari.
Watu wa Diaspora mnasikia salamu? Haya, nimeona vichwa zinacheza, amesikia maneno.
Yeah. So nini celebration ilikuwa mzuri. At least watu wa Kisumu wameonyesha kwamba hao pia ni Wakenya kama sisi. And I like what they did.
Okay.
Walikaribisha kila mtu, hakukuwa na issue. And even the leaders speeches ilikuwa sawa, apart from your president kuingilia mataji. So I think shida hapo, unaona sasa mahali kuna shida hiyo tu. President anaongea maana koti in public paragraph. Aliambiwa ukitaka kuleta issue wewe leta kwa koti. So I think hii issue pia ya military kufanya kazi si mbaya, but I think military guys, those guys are following orders. Anaambia when watu waambiwa when I direct you shoot. So hii issue hiyo si solution. Solution ni kwamba kama for example kama KMC inaanguka. Wanafaa kujua nani wanaangusha na kina nani. Hao watu wenye walikuwa wanafanya kazi hapo wako wapi sasa hivi? Where are they? Yes, hao ni watu wanafaa tuambie wale watu walikuwa wanafanya hapo waliangusha KMC ni akina nani? Na wako wapi?
Okay.
Accountability. So hiyo issue ya kwenda KDF, hata akipeleka KDF everywhere, it's not a solution. It's a shortcut. We want a long-term solution to our problems. There are so many Kenyans who can do those jobs. But now you see the president is on our point all out on our pressure. There are so many Kenyans. Hata ukienda diaspora kuna Wakenya wanafanya kazi mzuri sana.
Hata niko na watu hapa kina ARAMA na kina SADDAT.
Yes, kina ARAMA, look at ARAMA, is very competent person. Na Uhuru hajai sema nimekosa mtu wa kufanya kazi KMC. Aseme kuna Wakenya wengi wako jobless bana. So I think president need to lead. I think anafaa kuangalia wale advisors wanamuadvise pia. I think he lacks a lot of advisors ndio shida pia. I don't know kama ni advisors ama ni pia na atakaye kusikiza advisors. Lakini nafurahia wenye Wakenya walifanya Kisumu. I think we are moving, tunaendelea mbele sisi.
Okay.
Kama Wakenya. Yeah.
Tusonge nayo.
Tunasonga mbele vizuri.
Asante sana Aroni. Acha tusikie wengine wanasemaje. Nashukuru sana kwa kuweza kupiga simu. Usiondoke hapo pia, endelea kutulia na sisi. Tusikie mawazo yako. Kotini unaona kuna ndaje mambo ya kotini kabla hujaenda? Koti unaona mambo itakuwa namna gani pale kotini?
Koti iko hiyo BBI imekufa bwana. Timeline najua constitution ya Kenya inasema election constitution lazima tubadilishe 1 year to election. Na already now tulisikia jana wanasema kesi itasikizwa lini? 29 and 2nd of July, and then wataleta termination maybe August. So I think hii kitu president angeachana naye. Anaendelea kuaibika huko tu.
Alafu afanye nini?
Alafu you see the remarks he make on celebration day. Kuna mtu alileta issue kotini. So hiyo haina miguu. Nakupa hivyo.
Okay, sawa. Asante sana Aroni, kwa na siku njema. Ile sauti ya wananchi wa Kenya bwana, imekufa bwana, imekufa. Kuna jamaa wa diaspora, kuna jamaa yuko pale diaspora, nimeona simu yake imeingia na ikaanguka. Kama nambari yako inaisha na 13, your line is ending with 13, tafadhali piga simu. Haya. Jambo
bwana Bitoka,
bunga la mwenyeji,
wageni wako. Yes. Kwanza nashukuru kwa kunipatia hii fursa.
Karibu sana kaka.
Mimi nakupigia kutoka Jakarta.
Kutoka?
Jakarta, Indonesia.
Indonesia. Okay.
Ndio. Kwanza nilifuatilia jana mambo ya Madaraka. Nasema kwamba nafikiri Kenya tumepiga hatua kubwa sana. Na huwa tunasema give credit where it is due. Nafikiri kwamba Mheshimiwa Rais ameweza kupiga hatua kubwa sana, na ile kitu ambacho tutamkumbuka nayo ni kwa kuleta amani katika hii awamu yake ya uongozi, sababu tunaona kwamba Kenya sasa hizi kuna utulivu tangu ashike hii inaenda miaka 8 sasa. Hatujasikia ile tunaita tribal clashes. Nchi yote imetulia. Kwa hivyo hiyo ni legacy moja ambayo tutamkumbuka nayo. Jambo lingine pia amejaribu kuunganisha viongozi, na pia amesucceed katika marais wote wale ambao tumekuwa nao. Yeye ni wa kwanza kuweza kufanya kazi na viongozi kutoka kwa mrengo tofauti za kisiasa. Kitu moja tu ambao nimekuwa nikiangazia ambao tunafaa kuangalia ni kuwa watu wengi sana hivi karibuni ambao watu wanasema kwamba it is a security breach ya president. Lakini nafikiri hiyo ni kitu ambao rais pia anafaa kuangalia kwamba wananchi wengi wale wa chini wana hamu sana ya kumfikia. Labda kuna matatizo ambao labda wanaona kwamba haijaweza kusikizwa katika uongozi na wanataka imfikie. So nafikiri ni vizuri akiweza kutengeneza mbinu kama ile ya Magufuli, awe katika mikutano zake za hadhara anaweza kuwa anawapatia chance wananchi wale ambao wanataka kumfikia moja kwa moja, sababu ukiona hawa si watu kwamba ni watu ambao wanatia hofu kwa security yake, lakini unaona kwamba ni watu ambao wako chini na wana malilio yao kutoka pale Lamu. Ikaenda juzi, I think ilikuwa ni barabara moja hapo Nairobi, na juzi tukaona Kisumu. Kwa hivyo nafikiri anafaa kutengeneza muda. Kitambo nakumbuka wakati alichukua mara ya kwanza, alikuwa kuna Facebook ambao zingine alikuwa anaingia, ingawa watu walimtusi akaamua kufunga.
Kwanza alikuwa ametuambia kuna line itakuwa open ya vijana. Unapiga tu unaongea na rais anytime. Naweza amuka saa 12 niseme nasikia kuongea na Uhuru leo. Hizi sio line ilienda wapi? Solomon anatuambia line.
Hiyo ndio kitu ambao pia simu yake inafaa tena kuifungua, ama hata katika zile mikutano zake tu za hadhara, au anapatia muda kidogo, au anasikiza watu wawili watatu, na hapa ataweza kujua shida nyingi ya ile ambao mambo inaendelea huko mashinani. Kama hata hii issue ya BBI, sababu wale viongozi ambao wako karibu nayo wanamdanganya, lakini ukiangalia Wakenya wengi wale wako chini hawataki kusikiza hii mambo. Sio tu kwamba BBI ni kitu mbaya, lakini watu wanasema kwamba zile shida tuko nayo ni nzito kuliko hiyo BBI. Sasa ni kitu ambao angekuwa anapatia masikio na akaweza kuwasikiza vizuri, labda hata yeye mwenyewe angeweza kuwa convince katika ukitatua shida za watu wawili watatu, hapo utakuwa umeconvince watu wengine kama 100. Tukiongea mambo ya BBI, mambo ya kotini, tayari nafikiri kutoka jana hiyo direction ambao Court of Appeal ilianza kutoa jana, hiyo tayari ni kumaanisha kwamba walipeleka BBI katika ICU. Sababu kusema kwamba watasikiza mwezi wa 7 alafu ichukue tena muda gani before atoe ruling, itakuwa imefika mwezi wa 8. Haya, kitambo sasa tena uende kuambia sasa IBC ianze kuconstitute ile nini yake, itachukua tena karibu miezi miwili. Kwa hivyo hiyo tayari ni kumaanisha kwamba BBI atakuwa amekufa, amepelekwa mochari na amezikwa. Sasa ile kitu iko tu ni kuwa nafikiri serikali ile ambayo inaenda kutengenezwa hiyo ni nia agenda ya BBI waiweke vizuri, waipange vizuri, ili baada ya mwaka ujao waweze sasa kutengeneza upya vile wanaweza tena kuileta hiyo mabadiliko ya katiba. Lakini nafikiri katika hiyo awamu ya Mheshimiwa Rais Uhuru hawezi kufanikiwa kuimplement katiba mpya. Sasa ile kitu tu iko ni angangane tu na hiyo legacy yake ya kutengeneza amani na kuleta nchi pamoja. Nafikiri hiyo ni kitu ambayo amefanikiwa na hiyo ndio tutamkumbuka nayo. Mambo ya uchumi labda tunaweza kumsamea, manake hii janga la corona imeleta uchumi mbaya katika dunia nzima, si peke yake. Kwa hivyo naweza sema tu kwamba tumpatie credit kwa kuleta amani. Tunaona juzi Kisumu watu wanafurahia, ukiona Mheshimiwa Ruto alilakiwa na halaiki ya watu. Unaona kila moja alipokelewa vizuri. Kwa hivyo hiyo ni ishara nzuri ya amani na ameweza kufanikiwa, na tuombe Mungu kwamba hata ule kiongozi mwingine atakuja, hii legacy ambao Uhuru ametengeneza amani ibaki kuwa hivyo hivyo. Mambo mengine ya uchumi tunaweza kurekebisha, lakini mambo ya uwiano na umoja na uzalendo, hiyo ndio kitu ambao inafaa ikuwe nguzo katika taifa letu. Haya mengine tunaweza kutatua polepole tukienda. Ile kitu tu ambao serikali pia inafaa kurudisha ni unajua ni kutengeneza uzalendo. Nakumbuka wakati wetu tukiwa shuleni tulikuwa tunaenda kuimba ile tulikuwa tunaita loyalty pledge. Na ukiangalia wakati huo kulikuwa na uzalendo kidogo. Lakini sasa unaona siku hizi loyalty pledge hii generation ya sasa hawajui, ndio unaona kila mtu akiongea anataka kutusi serikali, anataka kudhalilisha nchi yake, sababu hiyo uzalendo imetoka. Sasa vile sasa tumefanikiwa kupata amani, inafaa sasa tuanze tena kuiregesha ile uzalendo ili kila mmoja awe mzalendo. Ili hata katika changamoto zile ziko, hatukai kama ambao tunapigana na taifa letu, lakini tunatatua matatizo yetu tukijua kwamba ni sisi ndio tunafaa kutatua. Jambo lingine ambao nafaa kuongezea tu ile ambao Uhuru amefail ni katika idara ya usalama, na nafikiri Matiang'i hapo ndiye amekosea, sababu ukiona ile mauaji inafanyika hivi ni mambo ya ajabu. Unasikia
watoto
wanauliwa, na nafikiri hii ndio mambo ambao Matiang'i amefail kabisa. Matiang'i anafaa awache mambo ya kupigana na wanasiasa huko, akuje atengeneze security vizuri, ili security ya Mkenya wa kawaida. Maana kila wakati
tunaondoka pala. Asante sana. Naona pia kuna jamaa pia simu yake nimeipoteza hapa. Jamaa simu yake nimeipoteza. Kama nambari yako inaanza na 20, I think it's also a diaspora call. Kama nambari yako inapoteza inaisha na 35, maybe that's a terminating call. Anyway, nasubiri tuone simu la mwisho, just one last call. Wacha niangalie mambo ya gazeti hapa. The Standard inasema pale juu Uhuru fights, Uhuru's figures set thanks wagging. Ni mambo ya manambari ya bajeti, nasema kwamba hamna pesa kwa finance budget. Netanyahu right now nears end. Pale Israel, the opposition parties have already 18 opposition parties are now combining forces to give Netanyahu a serious fight. Kenya to pay China loans from July. Pesa inaanza kulipwa July. Our athletes can deal with Tokyo ill. Battle Royale showdown, donning elegant black gowns and white bibs. Reputable. Taniangalia hapa. Jambo, bunge la mwenye nchi.
Hey, jambo Gerard.
Mambo.
Vipi ni Martin?
Aya, Martin changamka.
Vipi bana, nice conversation leo. mimi ningesema tu president anafaa ajifunze, aje kusema atarevisit judiciary. Na kuna kesi zinaenda kotini, pia ndio watamrevisit. Story ya BBI it's done and dusted. Hakuna kitu kingine inaendelea hapo. Timelines already zisha it's not on their side.
Zimetuacha. Okay, asante Martin.
Yeah, that's all I have to say. Alafu Jared, leo nadhani kununulia kahawa unapatikana.
Nitafute. Napenda kahawa sana.
Si basi nitumie direct namba yako.
Haya, sawa. Nakutumia sasa hivi. Uko wapi?
Haya.
Uko wapi? Town.
Niko town sasa.
Mimi singiange town. Labda nibebwe hapa na hii serikali ya Solomon Kuria.
Na kuja hizo side Ngong Road.
Panda tupatane hapa Lengam Kilimani.
Sawa.
Asante, nitakutumia namba. Haya, hiyo ilikuwa sehemu ya mwisho. Mtani angalia gazeti kidogo. Nilikuwa nimesoma hapa, donning elegant black gowns and white bibs, reputable legal minds appeared before President of Appeal Court at a sitting heralding 4 days of high-stakes legal suit and political duel only comparable in magnitude to that which annulled Kenyatta's declared victory in 2017. In mambo ya kotini, Kisumu, Kericho and Kisii lead COVID cases. Kisumu, na tumetoka Madaraka. Solomon, are you sure you're okay? Niko jaba sija kusanitize. Nitafutia sanitizer nioshe kwanza. Solomon ametoka Kisumu. Counties, why fish is more expensive in Kisumu? Okay. ANWAR SADDAT anatuambia kwa nini bei ya samaki iko juu. Residents want charge bill by missionaries in 1980s preserved. Your gazette ya Standard. Epicenter of coronavirus now shifting to Kisumu, Kisii and Kericho. Bodaboda operators arrested as police pursue Chantel's murders. Mambo ya fever hapa ya watoto. Judge refused to be drawn into a fight with the judiciary. Okay. Appellants spell out core issues against court judgment on BBI. CJ, I will seek reforms in the judiciary. Lofty Madaraka speeches but dubious economic evidence. Nimeona hapa picha ya Uhuru Kenyatta na Mwai Kibaki imewekwa pale. Lofty Madaraka speech but dubious economic evidence. Uhuru's growth numbers in context cost of a bigger national cake. In gazeti ya Standard Nation, Daily Nation haraka upesi headline nasemaje? Daily Nation, BBI court dead jolts referendum plans. Hapa imesema kwamba hearing of the appeal against last month's judgment that declared the building bridges initiative unconstitutional, review null and void has been set for June 29 to July 2nd, casting doubt on the possibilities of holding a referendum in July as earlier envisaged by the initiative's proponents. Judiciary ordered Mark Spark Apro. Okay, 250,000 risk suck in fake papers come. Preliminary assessment indicates that 3 intense civilian servants may have used fake certificates to get employment. Kenya, tough year of double KCP cases exams. The journey has started with registration of candidates born, lived and died together. Sad story of identical twins who drowned while swimming in Indian auction. Masai boy, switch just to mind your business. Please think again. The story on page 2 of the Nation. Together at Barton Liver School. It is the prospect of BBI referendum dim as hearing date is set. The decision that IBC was not properly considered is suspended, allowing to conduct Kiamba by elections. Uhuru traded against court sparks outrage. Uhuru Ruta power struggles beyond stalled dam projects. That is on page 6 of the Nation. Bodaboda raid assist over Santel's abduction and murder in Kitengela. Haya, unaweza nua gazeti lako uweze kusoma gazeti. Nimekusaidia tu na headlines, alafu tunarudi pale Diaspora tusikie mambo ya koti vipi. Acha tuanze na ARAMA. IBC wameambiwa ya kwamba they can touch anything but not BBI. Look at the timelines again. Is a referendum feasible?
Gerald, according to Chebukati, he said he can do anything anytime once he is given the chance. So I want to take him at his word. He can do that. Now, in general, I think the deadline is August, so maybe there's still some hope for them to hold it as long as he prepares for it and get it done by if the court rules before August and give its ruling. I mean, the court has ruled on presidential elections within a week. So I'm hoping their arguments and the presentation of the appeal will not take a whole month. It will be maybe a couple of days for them to present what they have to present, and then the judges will rule. Because even for them, they are cognizant of the timelines. So if you are going to rule for or against, you need to do it in a timely fashion so that people can be able to move forward. And generally, as we have said before, there are some aspects of this BBI process that we agree it's good for the country. And I've said this before. I don't understand why, especially when it comes to election petitions. I don't understand why election petitions have to take years. That thing should be done within a month, so that if you are ruled not validly elected, it should not be done when you have been in office for 3 years. So what does that mean? Everything you voted is null and void, it's illegal. There are so many implications that people need to consider. So these are some of the things that we need to put timelines on and decide on every election. MCA, governor, MP, senator, president, they should be done within a certain timeline. And also, if it means setting up special codes for election petitions, let's do that. Once it's done, it's done. You can't go mambo ya kuappeal, unaenda court, high court, court of appeal, Supreme Court, appealing the same thing. Let it be done one time and that's it. Whatever decision comes up, you either agree with it, you don't agree with it, that's okay. Let's move on. If they, nullify your election, you go back, campaign, get elected again, that's fine. If upheld, the person who loses, keep it moving. Prepare for the next election. To me, that's where we need to move our country to, so that we don't become in a perpetual campaigning mode, year in, year out. It's as if there's no break between election time. Campaign now, you can campaign, but let's not campaign for 2017 election even now. Let's campaign for 2022 if that is the case. But we cannot be litigating things that have already passed. And the only way we can resolve that is shrinking the timeline of the appealing and decision on election petitions, the timeline. So to me, that's the thing. Sitaki kuvunja Bwana Kuria moyo. There is still hope. There is still hope with the BBI. If the court rules in the favor of the president's team or the BBI supporters team, then they have a chance. If they disagree, then you know what? Go back to the drawing board, come up with something better. If you, like I said, even if let's say for argument's sake it goes through and people take in the referendum, come out a letter, multiple questions, your chances of getting anything passed goes down from, you have 50-50 goes down to 20%. But if you put multiple questions, there are some things that people will agree, there are some things we don't agree. I'm not going to support you adding 70 more MPs, which means more money that we're supposed to pay for. But I will support the idea of addressing election petition process and making changes to that and some other couple of things that I think are important to the country and makes the country better. So that's where we are. To me, that's the whole point. Mambo ingine sasa, I don't know. It's a tough task. It will be interesting. I think I will want to watch or replay the videos if they're going to allow a live streaming of the proceedings. I would love to watch how people present their ideas. And one thing, Gerald, that actually exposes to you the caliber of lawyers that you have. Saa zingine wengine wanapiga mdomo hapa kalikali, akifika huko kizungu inapotea ya ku present their case, inapotea.
Ingereza ina expire.
I remember like the Waiguru proceedings, that lawyer who represented the MCS, that young man was, he knew his stuff. Unajua, those are people you're like, oh wow, we have. Watu wengine hapa unaangalia, they don't have a name, a famous name, but they know what they're doing. And then some other, like the election petition for the president, some of the lawyers who are presenting him, unaangalia mtu anaulizwa swali, unasema, jamaa anasema, huh? Unasema, hey, the court cannot translate to your mother tongue or Kiswahili for you to understand what they're asking. Answer the question. So those, I think it gives people an exposure of how our our judiciary system works, and people can form their own opinion based on that. So I hope they're going to make it a live proceeding where people can follow, so that at the end of the day, because it's going to be tough, one way or the other, the way they are going to rule, the best way for people to agree and accept, they may not agree, but they can accept, is make it transparent and make it live. Let people follow. Ndio mtu anasema yenyewe, watu ya BBI they brought it, like we say here, they brought it, they bring it. They presented their case, they had a strong case, they had good evidence, and they won. or the other side wanasema, oh, the people who are against the BBI, they had a strong case, they presented their arguments, and they took the day. That's how we are going to agree as Kenyans. Tutasema, okay, whether I agree or not, yenyewe our jamaa, they were prepared, the other guys were not. Or one side was, the against were prepared, the other side was not. And that's how we are going to do it. So to me, that will be the best thing to do. So it's going to be a good experience, and one way or the other, like we have said from the beginning, this is our country. Whatever happens, let's still have our country. We don't need to. Huwezi choma nyumba yako bwana, alafu unakuja unaanza kusema sina mahali ya kulala. At the end of the day, we still need to keep our country safe and keep going. It's just going to be an event like any other. You move on, you know. Sisi watu, unajua me, I tell people, I never shy away. I tell them, bwana, sisi, I'm an Arsenal fan. We have faced disappointment so many years, and we are still surviving. We still keep on going, and we still hope one day tutakuwa champions. Whether that will be 100 years from now, I don't know. It might be next year, but this hope is still there. You can't lose hope, my friend. That to me is the essence of everything. So, yeah. Yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
All right, so let me ask you, ARAMA, before you go. Now, the president has already expressed his dissatisfaction with the court. What are the chances that he'll honor the court orders if in case it's ruled against the BBI? And what do you foresee that not?
Here is what I will say. As an individual, the president can disagree with the decision if he goes against it, and he can express his opinion. But as the president of the country, I'm hoping, and I think he will do the right thing by saying, yes, they have ruled against me. I don't agree with it, but I have to respect it. Wakenya tuendelee mbele. That is my hope, and I hope it will come to that. And just the same way, the other side, if the court rules and says, yes, BBI was done, whatever the High Court ruled on, if they come and say, for example, they say one of the aspects was about the IBC constitution and everything else. And there are some good points. They say, hey, the other day you agreed and say the IBC can continue with the way it was constituted and they can run election and everything else. Okay. Why are you disagreeing now? If it comes to that, they rule on that, then yes, those are the aspects to me that I look at and like, well, and those are the things I'm looking at. Like, they have a chance. If they present the arguments the right way, they have a chance. So either way, I don't want to speak for the president, but my hope is he's going to lead us. He's going to stand up as a leader and express his opinion as an individual and make it very clear that this is his personal view. And also, he gets a chance to speak as a president and express his opinion as a president. And at that point, I am hoping, and I think that will be what he will do, is say, as a president, we have to respect the courts and what they have decided. Let's find another way to fix what we want to fix. But as an individual, he can rant and rave and do everything else and cast them out and call them names. That's okay. I'm okay with that. He's expressing an opinion, and I don't have a problem with that.
Okay. All right. Let's go to tuende kwa MASI, alafu tuende kwa ANWAR.
Oh, you're talking about the BBI in the courts, right?
Yeah, let's talk about the courts issues, the timelines. Is a referendum feasible? And then also talk about if the courts rule against BBI, will the president respect that decision?
I mean, yeah, I think he has no choice but to respect it. I mean, I think they should have done this early, but I think they had a game plan that kind of COVID ruined. I think the timeline. I think there was a game plan somewhere that some natural act of God kind of ruined it. But for me, I think, in some cases, they look at it in, they say early July. And I say, let's say some miracle happens and they, the Court of Appeals, let's say approves, let's say overturns the ruling. And then, of course, the other side, of course, now it's going to end up at the Supreme Court. So what are the timelines here? I mean, when unless, because I think it will end up in the Supreme Court regardless, I think somehow, unless someone gives up, after the Court of Appeals. Because there's also the issue about the constituencies, because if the constituencies are not not formed like I think the rule, the rule is that, or the act is about them being formed a year before the elections. So that thing about the 70 constituencies is dead. So pretty much the timelines here is, I think it's tough unless if they. I hear now they have formed a committee, something to do with parliament and everything else, and I think. I don't know about the electoral reforms, how it would go about, legally speaking, because I'm not a lawyer. But I think if there was a way, they should, there was a way, they should just pursue that route in terms of electoral reforms. Because for me, I don't know. There's no way. I talked, to someone about this and he was like, I don't see how it's going to happen. But, like ARAMA, just to allude to what ARAMA said, something about timelines when it comes to elections. And this thing has to be done. I don't know if legally it's possible, either outside the BBI, KURIA can explain, SADDAT can explain, or ARAMA. But you see, like the United States, the elections are done in November, and the swearing in of a president is done in January. There's a reason for that. So that you can exhaust, if anything, and you remember during Trump, either there's any court cases, the president also at that particular time, that's when he gets orientation. He gets everything, about, the security, the defense, the nuclear codes, everything else. In Kenya, too, we need to have that timeline. And that timeline should be for all the seats, whereby you have the time to appeal, an election, and it being sorted out by the time, let's say like here in America, I think the senators and the congressmen have to be sworn in by January 3rd. That's the rule. I think January 3rd I think it's January 3rd for the Senate and the House. At that particular time, all of them are sworn in, everything has been settled. There's nothing like now, there's a case in court on this, and 2 years later, the case is, the election is annulled, and the way ARAMA said now, this person has done projects or voted for, how does it augur in terms of the past bills that the person has voted for? So I think we need to create that for all the seats. The way the issue about special courts, those ones need to be created. That's a really, it's very important. I think even for this election that's coming up, if we continue, we can see there's a lot of, we have a lot of confusion in Kenya, even now with everything, with the vaccinations, with now BBI, everything is just, tunafanya vitu tu kama kwa soko, yani vile vitu watu wanatembea around. We need to have some organization. So, it's upon the leaders to themselves now figure out what is the priority now. And the elections are coming up. We don't want any chaos again because, like someone said, when the chaos come in, the country needs to be, country needs to be stable. And there's so many things that are, like now you see the reason why you see the pipeline was built through Tanzania all the way to, I think to Juba. I think it's supposed to be built all the way to Juba and everything else. It's because of isn't what you're going really. That's just what it is. And it's because of the politics of the country, and someone needs to solve that issue. Because at the end of the day, Kenyans are the ones, and we have to have, an honest discussion. Myself, looking back, there was a time I was kind of, looking at this constitution and having, a little bit of this and that, but now looking back, I'm saying, thank God these politicians, when they were playing their games in 2010, if you guys remember, when they were going to Naivasha and everything, one group thought maybe Raila was going for the prime minister position, and then he just made an about turn, and he said for the, he took it, he said his position was for the presidential system, and he ran with it. And if you remember, some people, they were kind of, it was like, there was also like gamesmanship and instead of competition between them, instead of sitting down and saying, this is the most important thing for the country right now. It wasn't. I remember Bishuki being given the hat. Was it the green hat or whatever? And he was kind of like, okay, well, let me put my hat. But they knew what is in this constitution. Was going to prevent, either the status quo in future, in case, you see, like what they're trying to do now. I am so thankful that the experts then put in what they did in order to prevent someone coming in and change the constitution, like what had been done during the Kenyatta's time and Moi's time, and now I think they're saying about the 77 amendments to the constitution, which is someone was analyzing that it's more than Moi and Kenyatta combined, the amendments they made in just this one, these amendments that are being the BBI bill. So I think, the gamesmanship, this idea of like trying to make the BBI, it looks like, okay, maybe it's something between the two of them, but then it's maybe to, sideline the deputy president and everything else. People need to have sober minds and come back to the table and say, you know what, this is what is important for the country. And this is what we got, not for now, but for 30 years, for 50 years, for 100 years, like today I was seeing something somewhere,
I didn't even realize that the two-thirds gender rule that they, in terms of the nomination of the women reps to go to the Senate and, other people to be appointed in, special seats in the House. I didn't know it had a sunset clause where in 2037, that's going to be done. We're going to go back to what we have now. So, I mean, they need to figure out something. Maybe they could come up with a bill that, with the timelines, doesn't have to cover everything they did, but some that can go through Parliament and be reasonable and be acceptable, and hopefully, but this is Kenya. So, but we hope for the best. Thanks.
All right. Anwar SADDAT. Now, Anwar, the same questions about the courts and the timelines and the feasibility of a referendum, but also you'll need to take us through. You've been selling the bottom-up economic model as a nation's movement and all that. I want to give you an opportunity to swing in with that as well. So the floor is yours.
Yes, I think time is against the BBI process. I don't think it will be realistic to have the amendments go through and then have campaigns for referendum and then do campaigns for elections. We also have to keep in mind that the Kenyan presidential elections are very polarized. I think it will not be good to have a polarized referendum campaign and then proceed to a general election campaign. So in the interest of the nation, I hope those that are advocating for BBI put the interest of the nation first, before their personal interest. And if there are issues within the bill that they think is for the good of this nation, then I think those issues can be solved by administrative directives. Issues like tax, holiday for people that want to start businesses. Some of those things can really be addressed by Parliament. I think the President and the Prime Minister have enough people in Parliament that they can pass bills and have those put as law. The current constitution does not prevent the president from allocating 35% of national revenues to counties. So there is no need to take those through a referendum. But we have to be honest to ourselves. The biggest issue with the BBI process is creating our political seats. And that is something that all those that are proponents of BBI try to find other meats, to package it. But really, that is where the problem is. And that is the issues where I think people find to be very offensive, especially at this moment. So I think the time is against them. Will the president accept the court ruling? I hope he does, for the sake of the security of our nation. I hope he does that, because otherwise he will be setting a very bad precedent. If every time the court rules against him and then he comes out the way he has done in the past as president of our nation, I think that is not a good thing. I think he needs to differentiate his personal position as Uhuru Kenyatta and that of the institution that he leads, which is the presidency. The president should be a unifier of our nation, not a divider in chief. To bottom-up economic empowerment, for 58 years now, we have witnessed an economic model where wealth is given from up down. This has not been successful. We have created a nation of very few millionaires and very, very many people that are not able to really make ends meet. And that is why personally I believe in the model of economic empowerment, where we empower those of us who are at the lower economic stratum and those that are at the middle level. And how do we do this? We do this by deliberate actions of the government to give them means to help themselves. I'll just give you for an example. Every year we have about 1 million students that do their KCPE. If you follow these streams of students up, by the time they go to high school, by the time they go to the university, a lot of them have fallen off the conveyor belt that is our education system. These people, most of the time, find themselves into the workforce in an environment where there is no employment. Most of them don't have the necessary skills to survive. Those that want to start businesses do not have access to capital. And those that do get small capital and run into this small business of hawking, then their businesses become criminalized. So we have to find a way to help these people. The government has to have deliberate actions to bring them up. Give them opportunities to get loans, protect them, those that are in businesses that we consider to be informal, let us reduce the tax burden that we have on people. Now to begin business in Kenya is very expensive. I've had cases where people take loans to start businesses. The moment they have not even begun operating, KRA is on them, saying you owe us this, you owe us this, you owe us this. That is very difficult to succeed in that way. Our tax regimes is very punitive. It looks like people are only working to pay taxes. We cannot grow our economy by overtaxing our people. We need to expand the tax base. So I am very encouraged by the messages I hear from the Hustler movement, how they intend to empower people. And I think that is the direction that we need to continue going as a nation. We need to have discussions about how do we improve the lives of our people, and not really politics about from what tribes we subscribe to. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. So do you think the president might turn against the ruling by the court? Do you think he'll obey if they rule against the BBI?
I think he may. I think he may.
So what happens?
It's a very gray area. I think the president has demonstrated in the past that he does not have regards for court laws. I think the president thinks he's a supreme leader. I hope we don't go through that path. We have heard the president, not just about that, he said that he's not going to hand over power to a person that is elected by the people of Kenya. I think the president needs to understand that he's exercising these powers on behalf of the Kenyan people.
Okay.
So he needs to differentiate himself, the person of Uhuru Kenyatta and the president. But I think there will be a constitutional crisis if he disobeys the courts, and continue to do the way he wants to do it.
Okay. All right, we come back to the studio to skiza mambo ya Solomon KURIA. Same thing. The courts decision that were made yesterday, and the timelines on referendum, is it feasible?
I think.
And do you think the president will honor the courts if they rule against the baby?
One.
3 questions. Yeah.
The promoters of the Building Bridges initiative and those people who endorsed. And remember, we went across the country, and there were times where people did what we called validation meetings that were held in all counties. One thing that came out clearly is about the timelines. And people are conscious to this. BBI is conscious to some of these bottlenecks. And one of them is Article 89 of the Constitution on the delimitation of boundaries. And there's a clause in the BBI which says that Article 89, some of the provisions of Article 89 will not apply this time round, like the requirement that the new constituencies will not participate in 2022 general elections if they are established in less than 12 months.
Okay.
The BBI says clearly that that will not apply. So even if the constituencies are established tomorrow, and the general election is to be held the day after tomorrow, those constituencies will participate in the 2022 general elections. About the timelines, it is not the fault of the BBI promoters. It is their constitutional right to initiate a popular initiative by the people. It is not their fault that anyone decides to go to court to challenge that. Their ambition is to have a review, is to have amendment of the Constitution. So if we shall have issues to do with the timelines, we shall still go to the Supreme Court and seek advisory. And we shall get an advisory, like we got one on the issues of the governors. You realized at some point we had issues with a governor is found to be corrupt. It's taken to court. Do we have to wait? Do we still have to continue having a corrupt person leading us? And Justice Mobi Goge gave us a very well elaborated advisory, and we are following that today. Today, a governor is impeached immediately, even before he's had. We have a new governor. Therefore, we are going to seek an advisory on timeline. So, all is not lost.
Okay.
What I'm saying is this, and that is why I said a section, not the whole of the judiciary. A section of the judiciary is under the capture of the civil societies. There are people who are very keen to make sure that we are behind schedule. And one of it is having filed 17 petitions.
Okay.
And all the petitions were received, and there was a consolidated hearing on all of them. So these people still want to continue. Even if we win in August, we are aware that if even if BBI is given a clean bill of health in August, there's still another loophole that the current respondents might become the petitioners to the Supreme Court.
Okay.
So there's still another process. We might find ourselves going all the way to January. But what I will assure you is that the President of the Republic of Kenya is a law-abiding citizen. And I say this because being an African president and knowing how Africa is, our immediate neighbors here, Tanzania and Uganda, have been under dictators for quite some time. We are the only country where rule of law is upheld and promoted. The president had the choice of not agreeing with Madaraka's ruling in 2017, and he would have chest thumped and said, "I'm the president. I was elected. I'm not going anywhere." Then this country would have gone to chaos, like we have seen in other countries in Africa. And we are like Chad. We have countries in Africa that are so chaotic, so many of them. But he decided to abide to that. I believe he'll still do that. But what we are not doing, and we are telling him every day, and those promoters of the Building Bridges initiative, we are not turning back. We have come from far, all the way from the collection of signatures to endorse the Amendment Bill 2020, to the validation meetings we held across the country. I've addressed so many young people conferences on BBI through this country. We went to the county assemblies, 43 out of 47 gave it thumbs up. We went to the National Assembly. 70%, 75%, 80% actually of the members of parliament endorsed the document. Senate, the same, 52 out of I think about 55 who voted. So this document has been supported all that far. Now, when we are almost now sending it as per direction of the Constitution on popular initiative, when we are almost sending it now back to Mwananchi for a vote of yes or no, we are not going to take that thing of, this is not KCPE. We're not going to have multiple choices. If you want multiple choices, go for KCPE. Sit for that. This is a referendum that of yes or no. You have read the document, you have understood it. I disagree with it in entirely or agree with it entirely. There's no point of having 75 questions. I see mtihani.
Okay.
So we are saying, when we are proposing, that we have come from far. We can't stop here. And it's the same thing the president was asking. You know, the burden of choice. Money has been spent on this document. Where were these guys? And remember why I'm saying, let the guys be kind enough, because I've listened to them. I've had someone trying to speak.
No. Everyone is listening to you.
Yes, let me finish. There was a ruling in 2019, and I remember this, the first challenge on IEBC. They said whether IEBC is currently constituted is supposed to perform its functions. And then the High Court pronounced themselves, and they said, as per Article 250, IEBC requires a minimum of 3 commissioners to be functional. And there are 3. So they can do anything as per the provision of the Constitution. Then came 2020 March. That is the day I thought BBI would die. Someone took, that is actually the That-Way Alliance, the leader of the party leader, That-Way Alliance, went to court and challenged and said that the president cannot initiate a popular initiative process of amending the Constitution. Again, the High Court, the same High Court, pronounced itself and said, the president, being the symbol of unity, can initiate a process of amending the Constitution if doing so will unite Kenyans. In fact, the judge pronounced himself so well, and people need to read that ruling. That's why I wonder, the same High Court has come again and said that BBI is null and void. So where do we go? High Court said IBC is okay. They said the president can initiate the process. Again now, that's why we are reading some malice in all this. But we have told clearly the proponents of the BBI, as proponents of the BBI, we have said we are not turning back. The voice of 4.5 million Kenyans who have paid their signatures in support of this amendment bill must be heard. And people must stop seeing this. In fact, I've heard the issue. Ati BBI ni ya watu wawili. Ati ni ya Uhuru na Raila. And I'm telling them openly, guys, if that is the case, then this is an improvement.
Okay.
What we had before about punguza mzigo, ilikuwa ya mtu mmoja, ilikuwa ya Ekura Court. This is an improvement. Now from one person to two persons, we move ahead and we go. And the court cannot at some point say that President Uhuru Kenyatta cannot initiate the process of amending the constitution. And at the same time, they want him to take responsibility as, as a citizen of this country. You remember they were saying that he can even be taken to court as a citizen of Kenya. So
as an individual.
As an individual.
Okay.
So let them tell us whether an individual citizen of this country does not have right to initiate a process of amending the constitution. So they must respect the president for who he is. Let us not have this issue of revisiting. Revisiting maneno ya kurevisit. Wacha tuwache. Kwa sababu where it is leading us to anarchy. You have heard some people in this country say that the real custodians of the law in Kenya are the military. It's an argument I can buy anytime. Anytime. If anything goes haywire in this country, who takes over? So who really suspends the constitution? So we must respect those boundaries. Let us not have saboteurs. The judiciary turning to be, saboteurs of what the executive is trying to achieve.
Okay.
Are we together? Let us respect, those boundaries. And if at some point the president says, he said a statement that I agree with. He said, when the judiciary tries to stop a process that has been initiated by the people, then the judiciary is taking us, is taking us to the far limits on how we should obey the rule of law.
Okay.
Once you come all the way to my doorsteps, I'm trying this, you're trying to stop it. Remember even the issues to do with SGR. How many court orders were there trying to stop SGR by, some quotas of activists? Finally, it did not go through. We have the SGR today. So sometimes when I say the president has to protect his territories, I don't mean that it is like his territory. No, he is there to protect the constitution, to abide by what it says. But his territory is what he promised Kenyans.
Okay.
If someone is trying to sabotage that, remember, the big four, he has to bring to Kenyans. He promised them. Unity is what he is also trying to leave as his legacy. If anyone tries to come, next to that and trying to make it not happen, the president must speak out.
All right.
I have had guys saying, let the president go to court. My friends, where have you been? Don't tell us that you have been in your New Jerusalem alone. We have been here. We have seen press conferences from David Madaraka all the time, calling the members of the press and actually saying all manner of things against the executive and the president himself, including you don't receive my calls. All those things. People have to express themselves. Other than being a president, he is a human being. Let us give him space to express himself, just like we gave Madaraka space. Madaraka could have opted to go to court and hire lawyers and challenge the executive in court, but he came out. He called the members of the press and akatoa maneno yake yote na akasema. He expressed himself. So when the president expresses himself, it doesn't mean that actually that is what he is intending to do. He is saying, let the judiciary not try to show us that Constitution is a yoke.
Okay.
It is not.
All right. Angalia. Tunafunga kazi. Tufunga kazi bana nsanne. Haya. Nakopa kila mtu sekunde 30 seconds, okay.
All right. So I think Bwana Kuria is missing one point. The people is not the judges who brought the case to court. It's fellow Kenyans who went to court and challenged the process. And he seems to forget that
activists.
The sword goes both ways. Everybody has a right to challenge what they believe is not right, or everybody has a right to petition the courts on what they believe, on what they want to petition the court. Now the court can decide to listen to it or not. So to me, that is the argument for him. Sometimes, Kuria, like I say, you have a right to express yourself. but also within the confines of respect. Now, when you tell me that I need to go sit for a KCPE when I'm saying, hey, give people multiple choice, you are insulting Kenyans. I mean, kwani unafikiri KCPE haikuwa mtihani watu walikuwa wanafanya? You know, don't degrade people to that level.
Tumefanya mtihani, haturudi huko.
But otherwise, respectfully, this is a discussion. We agree or disagree. We express our opinions and our points of views, and we keep it moving. The president can say what he wants to say, but like Bwana SADDAT said, he needs to differentiate when he's speaking as a president of the country and when he's speaking as Uhuru Kenyatta, an individual, a Kenyan. So that's what we are asking, that the difference. And then the other thing is, when he's initiating the process as an individual, then the president should have used his own money to process the BBI process like Uhuru Accord did. But the challenge people are having is, he did the process as a president and used government resources to do this. That is what the challenges are in court. Now, I'm not supporting one way or the other the process or anything. All I'm giving is an objective perspective. The same question you keep on quoting is very clear on how you can initiate these amendments. It doesn't say that the government, it's specific. The government cannot initiate a constitutional amendment. An individual can do that. The president, if he wanted to do it as an individual, he could have done that, use his own money and do it, or fundraise. Angaita mchango, Kuria achange, auze ng'ombe yake, ampatie pesa. We go through the process. That's okay. And we don't want to dispute that. But you can't have it both ways, Bwana. You can't come in as a government and at the same time you want to call yourself an individual. You can't have it both ways. Okay. And that's why I think this is the challenges. If they are going to go to court with this argument, guaranteed they're going to lose. To me is, like I said, let's have the court process go through. Whoever has the best argument wins. That's it.
Okay. All right. Asante. Sekunde zako 30 Masi, haraka upesi. That is, if you need your 30 seconds, if you don't need it, you can donate.
So mine is just to say, I mean, I think this was a great discussion, and I hope, we'll continue to have more, God willing. And, my statement to Mr. KURIA is, I mean, I do understand his point, and I hope he gets the point that we too, I mean, I think both of us, all of us are trying to get, to make Kenya better, a great place to live in. And I mean, not for us, but even for people who are coming in the future. So, I mean, none of us is here trying to criticize the government or whatever. It's just different ways of, we are trying to achieve, the same goal, but there's different ways of going about it. So mine is thank you for everything, and thank you for hosting us. So thank you.
I appreciate Masi. Asante sana. Anwar SADDAT.
Yes, I think we need as a nation to progress forward and not retrogress backwards. And I think everybody, including the president, needs to join up in that process. And we can do that by improving our laws. We can do that by making our independent institutions operate as they are independent. And we can do that by respecting the rule of law and, continuing to open up democratic spaces so that people can speak freely. That will require the person that wields the most significant power in the republic, who is the president, to exercise great restraint in the discharge of his duties as president of the Republic of Kenya. I wanted to add just one thing about the issues of military. I'm among the people that believe our military should be in the barracks. They should continue to do the functions of protecting our security, mobilized when needed in national disasters to do good, but they should not be involved in running, day-to-day running of civilian institutions. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate a good Pania on the other end. Rugumi, you have any comments as we leave the broadcast?
Yeah, I just wanted to put, my thinking is, this thing, even the president knew it will not go far. It's just a PR for him to work conducively, to have a conducive environment. But he knew it is not going anywhere. He just wanted to have a good PR and try to be a good boy to all the members, the opposition. Because at the end of the day, I can tell for free, they're in good terms with the deputy president. They just want to have good, he just want to finish his term peacefully. So he knew that BBI is not going anywhere. So, and that is why, even if when he make noise, he's not pointing at anyone. He just want to comment and just to for his time to go. Time he had to.
Anataka kusonga na wakati, atageuka. Sasa akigeuka kitakuwaje sasa na kina Solo hapa ndugu yangu hapa?
Itageuka tu. He just want to alikuwa tu anamaliza kazi
yake. Kenya mko na maneno
Yeah.
So ni karata.
Ni karata tu.
Haya, asante sana ndugu yangu kwa kuja takoli ya leo. It's been a pleasure having you gentlemen. Wacha niangalie kidogo comments ya watu hapa kidogo. Wasije wakanifanyia kesi. Wacha nianze na watu wa YouTube. David Ngeti anasema fear mongering is one of the key tools of a dictator and his cronies. Kenyans were free for travel even during the 2017 elections. Paul Njaya, I wonder what magic IDF has succeeded in reviving KMC that professionals in the Ministry of Agriculture could not do. Bear in mind, both agri CSS in Jubilee have not been agri professionals. Joseph Mwangi, what a tackle to Kuria. Maybe Kuria is drunk with Jubilee dynamics and never sees anything outside Jubilee. Benjamin Lisi, I love the discussion to Mr. Kinyua. As much as the outcome may be beneficial, the end doesn't justify the means. My concern as a Kenyan is not to promote impunity. Therefore, Prezo is not above the law. Benjamin Lisi, he should not defend the law and not acting as if he is the law himself. Okay, Gladys Kiai, I think the president should focus on the security and the pandemic. That's important now. Anything else is a waste of time. Amaliza aende. David Mchoraji, give up the good work you are doing, brother Gerald. Bitok mabadiliko uanza na maongezi. Asante sana. Gaybor, is this guy Uhuru and Raila suggesting that we reward blackmail? It is wrong for these ODM sympathizers to gloat that since Raila led the riot that supported the economy and rendered Kisumu a hub of violence, the kowtowing supplication and appeasement of Rao and his supporters, setting a very dangerous precedent in incentivizing violence. David Bernard Chumari, this guy is shallow. Now Ekuru was about policy, not what he said. Bernard Chumari, SGR, useless. Jeffrey Kibet, good discussions. Asante sana. Acha nikimbia haraka Facebook hapa kidogo niangalie wananchi pia. Pasagong, that is being careless by saying there is no law that cannot be amended. I'm imagining Uhuru being Moses and while receiving the 10 commandments is happy as long as they don't relate to him. Once it happens that he is chilled by the same laws, you would say that these laws are a yoke on our neck and the laws need to be rewritten to favor him and his cliques. Other childish behavior. Wewe unaongelesha rais hivyo bwana. Unajua kiosk bwana ni ndogo. Jeff Sika, Mr. Kuria, is there any need for these ministries then? Everything should go to KDF. We will go with your reasoning. That's Jeff Sika. On about Julius Favor, Psychophant. Pierre Mwenda, ask your brilliant guy how many government departments are going to be reverted to military. What is cheaper, managing corruption or militarizing the nation? Next, we shall militarize our parliament, senate and county assembly, asking if he knows the dangers of a military state. Do you know the dangers of a military state, Solomon Kuria? Charles Mburu, Solomon Kuria is on point regards to the panelists. Asante sana. Felix Brono, Chebet, Rudisha huyu. Mtu pangane ni wapi? Abraham Chelanga, morning generally. Why is the president seeing what most Kenyans are seeing? Why is he praising himself? Uhuru should just finish and go. Economy is doing badly since Handshake and is on the Fuliza daily. Fake two brothers of convenience can't address our issues rather than for their for their family. Nothing for common mwananchi. James Mwenda says looks like the not so wise Solomon also annoys people internationally. ARAMA and ANWAR put him in place. Frank Kwame, this Kuria is misleading us. Why should the president run away from his misdoings? Who appoints incompetent public service employees? There's a plan to kill the public service and infiltrate it with the military. Solomon Kuria naona pia amerudi hapa na kamba yake kidogo kwa kimutai vini. Moses Mwenda, the reasoning of that Solomon as a young person has indeed surprised me. Brother, why do we have ministers representing different ministries? Instead, we should then have ministries only from KDF, ministers only from KDF, and militarize all government departments as per your reasoning. Swala kwako. James Mwenda, good rejoinder by ARAMA. Now annoying Kuria can leave the studio and go do whatever he does whenever he's not annoying people on the tackle. Tuliani bana, Solomon Kuria, to Jeff Sika, I hope it can be replicated everywhere. Civilians are very corrupt. 1/3 of budget goes to pockets of civilians, ministers, PSS, head of parastatos, etc. Yeah, that is Solomon Kuria there. In Bwaga, the truth is our judiciary rights on its need to be independent to infringe and in frustrate administration of justice. Within the judiciary lies crooks and cartels who always calls the shots. We have cases of judges and magistrates who have hampered administration of justice due to their insatiable appetite for bribes. We should defend and as well critique our courts. Every day, millions of poor Kenyans are losing cases because they are poor and nothing else. Okay, a young girl defiled at age 14 lost a case in court even after DNA results linking the accused to the crime. Reason? The prosecution did not produce the birth certificate. So in this case, what prevented the magistrate from demanding the prosecution to produce the birth certificate, or rather order for an age assessment done? We must be honest. Our judiciary is not independent in whichever way. As a going plug for Solomon, please read and cogitate what King Solomon did and what Solomon did, and just do a quarter of that. You have poisoned the fountain of wisdom just because you want to convince us that the king is fully dressed when you all know that he is filthy naked and laughing stock. Solomon, you have made your nose brown enough. Chukua sanitizer and take a good shower and wear some perfume. Okay, this time. Too much, right? Angwana, pole pole bwana, msiweke kitu kwa roho. Yostas Ngunyi says Solomon Dirango, ya karibu sana. Moses Wairu Irungu, Gerald Bitok, good morning, Anaisho Salimia Engineer. Haya, on Jules Trevor Solomon, listening to you is such a disappointment, Kaka. Is to really judge you, Ashley, as a young person. James Manda, the guy from Indonesia should be the one with the name Solomon for his wisdom. No, that, okay. All right, David Williams, I see you, brother Jorel. Arama Kangura Kamusinga, hey, sorry, came in late. Could you please add some caption to Jueni Nani anaongea from where? Okay, Asante Sana, we'll fix that next time. Aska Mebu, Gerald Bitok, the development of government projects in Nyanza region seem to be attributed to the unscripted process. The handshake, is that sustainable? What next? I thought, okay. Asante Sana Aska. James Amwanda, we would like to thank Mr. Kuria for coming to the show. Also, we would like to request him not to come again. Okay. I didn't see that coming. Kayunga Kamusenga, Prime Minister, Professor Ochengo Dongo. Anasema engineer Kareriak. Asante huyu, Professor. Okay. Hekaria says I'm law abiding. Asante, where is Meguna? I don't dare to. I think the guy is somehow arrogant. I don't know. Moses Cartel, and some so difficult to defend Uhuru and BBI ni kama kukunywa uji moto kama umechelewa. FC College Chairman Menokisha Kettle below. Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well, Mr. Tirop. Bitog, who is this? Just something as if he owns Kenya. You are not turning back with Okay. Lilian Njewa Nyange Amia, karibu sana. Kadavi Arana, Anwar SADDAT eating grammar with spade. Where is he? He's in America, bwana. Oyala KE, let the people prepare for referendum. Asante sana Oyola, hiyo ni MC wa Kipsombe. Anasema watu wajitayarishe kukula referendum. Aaron Deritu, if we want multiple questions, we go and sit for KCPE. Wow. Okay. Ababu Yat Kambura also says about referendum is a must. You get a Kamusinga Jarib, please don't invite his arrogance again. Akona kiburi sana. Atakuja sasa Kenya ni watu wote. Sasa utafanya nini? Meska Abuna some very hard listening to Solomon Kuria. Koita, mediocrity and psychophancy must be declared as a security threat. This man has taken his psychophancy beyond an imaginary limit. Kayungira Kamusinga, okay, how much has it been lost in SGR in the process of having SGR? Kena Mondi, watching us on Millicent Tirop. Our viable is SGR. Kadavi Aran, and this man is on point. Judiciary must respect the president. Kayungira Kamusinga, Kuria is misguided human being. Bure kabisa. Okay. Kayungira anasema bas, time ended to James Mwenda. Gerald Bitok next week. Rudisha Ruth Mbogo. She was annoying, but I had fallen in love with her. Salams, ARAMA, my brother. Asante sana. A gentleman from Diaspora, it's been a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for having you again, my good friend Solomon Kuria. Butana, pole sana hapa watu wana tackle watu mbaya. Unajua this only show that you get to feel wanaichi wanasema nini.
Tumezoea hii.
There's no postponement.
Freedom of expression.
Hapa kwa hapa. Ngojange siku nyingine. Okay, gentlemen, thank you for coming in. I appreciate you guys from Diaspora. It's been great.
Thank you so much, Gerald.
Thank you, Bana.
Bana Solomon, we need to continue, Bana. Keep on coming.
You are big stream. You are great minds, guys. Great minds.
Yes, Solomon, we need to link up. Yes.
Yes, we should.
Yes, so we continue this again next week. Until next week on Diaspora Edition. We see you again tomorrow on Friday on Sharia Wiki, led by a panel of Kuru, Dr. Kuru Kot. As we again, you get now to hit down and get to break down the the process of the courts yesterday, what they said and what it means for the country, and also what it means as we are towards the referendum. Well, it could be an interesting conversation, so we're waiting to see what the panel looks like for tomorrow. But until tomorrow on Sharia Wiki, we want to wish you a very blessed day. This is a Tackle and Tackle ends now. The guys in Diaspora, we wish you a very good night. Take care and we love you. This is a Tackle and Tackle ends now. Bye-bye. Signing out.